Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, for another day of VCS action. We are back here with the lower bracket finals, and it's a really important day for these two teams. They are facing off for the second time in playoffs. Wales against Vikings. Do or die. Winner goes to Worlds. Loser disappears into nothingness. With me today, I have Rebel and, of course, Clockwork. Welcome back onto the stream. It's been a very long time. How have you guys been?
I mean, I'm blown away. Was that not gas? Clockwork, I haven't seen the graphics for the new stream yet. That was awesome, wasn't it?
It's incredible. I'm speechless. Spoods really popped off for this last occasion, and I'm now so hyped to be here again after so much time. I even took my bi-yearly shower 4 months ahead of schedule. I just missed you so much.
This man has a PhD. How does he have a PhD?
Moving on. God. Well, luckily we're not in the same room, so we don't get to judge if that's actually true or not. He's just somewhere in Finland, I believe, so we don't have to smell Clockwork, but at least we get to see Clockwork, and it's so lovely to have you back. Yeah, we haven't talked in a while here on stream, so let me quickly ask you about your league experiences in the last few months, maybe your VCS impressions. What comes to mind immediately? Let's start with you, Rebel.
Yeah, I mean, I keep most League of Legends kind of at an arm's length in the last while, but VCS always has a soft spot, so does like China and Korea, so usually I keep up with most of that. The 7-team leagues felt like it was a 3-horse race, and so it was like, things seemed to turn out exactly as you expected them right up until last week when Wales beat Team Secret out of absolutely nowhere. For some reason, we've got 5 teams in playoffs. 3 of them had winning records, 2 of them had losing records, and out of nowhere, again, a 4-8 Team Wales just decides to upset Team Secret out of nowhere. So things were much less interesting until last week when playoffs took an interesting turn. But outside of that, it's been obviously like the big exodus after a lot of the allegations kind of came through, and there were a lot of players that were kind of shunted out of the league. Really sucked in a lot of ways because we lost a lot of players that were very good, very talented, that sort of thing. But obviously there's problems. So seeing now what the league has become, I mean, it does open doors for new players, young players, things like that have popped out, and we get to see a lot of players that are still doing their thing. It's inevitable that Levi makes finals, so we still got to see that happen as well.
Yeah, we get to see who's going to challenge him. Clockwork. What are your impressions about the VCS and maybe the playoffs in general?
Right, yeah. Much like Rebel, I kept my eye on VCS, even if I didn't really follow the regular season, but my interest got reignited when playoffs began, and I saw Vikings, like, finally, this is like a team that can challenge GAM, and I'm seeing that despite so much turnover, so many new players that had to come in and fill the gaps left by last year's event, it's still impressive how the level hasn't, I think, dropped that much. We still see GAM at the top of the competition. We still see the players putting up a great show, and there's great plays being done all around. So I don't think this has hurt our region that much, at least in level of play. Maybe I'm a bit like I have bit rose-tinted glasses, but I'm very excited to see how these last 2 series shape up, because I think we can still put up a punch when both teams get to Worlds.
Yeah, and speaking of getting to Worlds, you can see we are here at the lower bracket now. The rematch, this actually happened before, so this is one of those quirks of double elimination brackets, of course. We had this matchup before, and honestly, it wasn't close. The Wales against the Vikings matchup in round number 1.5, if you want to count the Wales against Flash as a qualification match like I do. So it was kind of the first round after Wales dispatched Flash rather easily. They got stomped by Vikings, and mostly this was due to Vikings actually completely outplaying them in the early game. The games were rather quick, and Wales just couldn't really stand up to them when it came to the early game and early game rotations. We even saw this in Vikings against GAM, where Vikings showed some really nice mid-late game rotations, and GAM couldn't quite keep up. Unfortunately, there was quite a big of player mismatch. But yeah, let's dive into this matchup today. It's maybe the most important game of all of playoffs because, of course, we have finals tomorrow. But today we decide who's gonna be the second team at Worlds, and maybe there's some other implications for the next year. We're not quite sure how it's gonna be, but the winner of today's game also has a decent chance at making it into the Trans Southeast Asian League. Let's call it that, the APAC. And as I want to stress again, we don't have any information to confirm or deny that, but it's just whoever wins is going to have a nice showing for themselves when it comes to the application there. So yeah, let's go back to you, Clockwork. I know you looked at the Wales games. How can they overcome Vikings today? Because they didn't really look like they had any chance of winning against them. They need to win today. What can they do?
Okay, so I know you want me to praise Wales. However, it's going to be really challenging today because what Wales is good at, Vikings does it better. Okay, like anything they do, Vikings is better. For example, Wales is quite a solid team. They can punish mistakes if the enemy team sleeps over. And they did that several times against Secret, but that requires the enemy team to make mistakes. And Vikings is not going to do that so much. Or, for example, they tend to drag the games to the later stages. And, as the old times of Cerberus, there's Artemis for them that can carry in front-to-back fights, team fights that are organized and set up for him to shine. But Vikings does that better as well. The one thing that I believe is going to be an asset for them is the top lane, is Hasmed. He hasn't seen Worlds in many splits, but I think that this time around he's finally playing like a world-class top laner again, and at least one of the best in Vietnam. So I think, considering also like Nanawe's recent games, I think if Wales want to win, they need to attack top lane and give a lot of resources to Hasmed.
I think that's a good transition point. Rebel, I'm not sure if you've seen Nanawe's woes, let's call it. So I had the displeasure of casting them. So can you give me some impressions of of the other side of the matchup and maybe Nanawe specifically?
Yeah, so Nanao is like basically brand new, right? He's as young and as green as they come in terms of both League of Legends. I think he was born in like 2006 or something, so he's like 20. He's like 18. He's super young. Every top laner when they come into the league is going to get bullied here. That's kind of how VCS works, okay? I'm going to cut him a little bit of slack. I also don't think top lane's in a perfect area where they're going to be able to carry, and so I do have the problem of like if you're game planning around trying to carry out a top lane, no one seems to be able to figure it out that you need much harder carry champions than like Gnar or even like Kennen in most circumstances. The problem that I foresee is that one of the biggest strengths that I think Wales has is Artemis and not most of the rest of their roster. Problem is you don't have one ADC anymore. Now you've got two. I mean, Kadi's playing it constantly in the mid lane. Like, you're not going to be expecting one marksman. You're going to be expecting Shogun and Kadi to be playing marksman. They need to figure out a solution for that, I think, beyond anything else. I mean, Guri's also been playing very good League of Legends most of the split. The champion pool's really in his favor, and it helps him quite a bit. I think B is still playing top tier like League of Legends in the support role, but the biggest issue that you've got is like one of your long-standing traditions as any team with Artemis is your late-game team fighting, because Artemis is supposed to be able to carry you through late-game team fighting. When you decap yourself by not having double marksman or anything like that, you don't even have a chance in late game team fights because you don't have the same kind of damage. So if they're going to keep doing that, they need much more creative strategies. They need something to be able to blow that out. I think they went 3 games LeBlanc last time they played or something like that. That was not the solution. Dove did not do anything on the LeBlanc that was helpful in the slightest. He was losing a lot of priority in the mid or in the early parts of the game, wasn't able to keep up in CS, was not doing enough damage to pop somebody. It just wasn't the play. Find something more creative to make that work, or straight up swap over to the marksman so you can give your Artemis an actual fighting chance in the late game 5-on-5.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure how much time there's left before we go into draft, but that's kind of preview the draft a bit and think about maybe options they could either team could go for to improve their chances at winning. You just mentioned Dove, and yeah, I'm with you. I'm really confused looking at his champion pool. I don't really understand what's going on. Why is he not playing the meta mid laners? Rebel, do you think he can get away with some new mage pickups? Because apparently he doesn't want to play ADCs.
It would be very cool to see him come out with something like that. The problem is, I think a lot of picks that would do fine in the early portions of the game, so something that can stonewall, which would be like Scion or like, some sort of tank in the mid lane, probably is useless against the marksman because they don't care about laning anyway. They just want to get into team fighting. Playing an assassin clearly didn't work, or at least playing the LeBlanc clearly didn't work because he wasn't able to actually generate any sort of kind of intrinsic pressure. I wonder if swapping to like siege mage or scaling, like crazy scaling mage would work better. I wonder if like bust out Zillion in the mid lane, bust out like AP Kog'Maw or Xerath or something in the mid lane. It might make it a lot harder to try to play during the course of the beginning of the game because your wave clear is going to have like the mage tendencies to it, while you also still have a lot of kind of non-interaction with marksman type characters. Again, if you're Kog'Maw, you can hit somebody with an ultimate from 2 screens away and they can't see you. What is a Zeri supposed to do about that? Is it hard to hit skill shots? Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but at least you're going to be able to play that style that you want to instead of playing LeBlanc where you jump in, don't get a full combo off, and then immediately are useless in a fight.
Excuse me, Rebel. Now I have to put a little bit of psychology glasses because here my diagnosis for Dove is a Shanks humanoid personality disorder, meaning that probably one of the reasons why he does not feel confident playing marksman is that because of this disturb, he tends to be too often in a side lane. Even when he has a lead for himself in lane, he finds himself in a side lane with absolutely no vision, no teammates around, and he blows away all that lead. And so, if that's his playstyle, I kind of see why Team Wales doesn't feel confident putting him on AD carries. That's my diagnosis anyway.
If that's the case, put him on Tryndamere. Make him play Trynd mid. And like, what is an
Trynd,
ADC going to do? Mouth fight. Do something that smothers the other ADC and let him side lane the entire game if that's the case. There's a million champions you can play to try to play that style. I know we're in the VCS, and I know League of Legends is already a game where at the top level, people don't want to play new things for some reason. Who knows? But like, I'm hoping we get something today because Dove is Korean at his core, so we hope he gets to pull out some of that reckless stuff that they will play on occasion.
I mean, his champion pools and champions played for especially players, it's quite funny. His most played champion, LeBlanc, 0% win rate. He has a game on Smolder, which is the only AD carry he has played, one of the counters into Corki, and he did win the game. He played another AD game on Yona, which did not go his way. So, yeah, he's very much still the traditional mage player, a lot of traditional mage champions. And when we look at his summer split as a whole, he actually played quite a bit of ADC variety here. He played a lot of Corki, Lucian, Tristana, 2 games. So he did play those and he tried his hand, but nothing above 50% win rate of those AD carries. So that's quite the indication that he's maybe not as comfortable looking towards those champions. I expect to see more LeBlanc today, maybe more Talia, but maybe he can come up with one of those more unusual counter picks, something like that.
You're pointing to, like, against Secret, he played some off-meta champions like the Silas, like the Orianna, that are absolutely not standard, but they did work. So if they can come up with some solution like that, they can find the route to win some games. And especially against Vikings, that despite having 2 of the greatest minds in the region, Pancake and SOFM, in the coaching staff, they have this weird tendency to have very predictable drafts. Like Guri has played 14 games of Maokai. Kati has played 15 games of Corki, and B has played 12 games of Leona. They tend to pick very similar compositions, and I think that's an angle that Wales can try to abuse in draft.
Yeah, but then again, if it's just the best champions on the patch, maybe you should play those champions.
I mean, they keep playing them because they work.
Exactly. And I actually wanted to bring up the exact opposite of Dove because it's so funny. He's playing against him today. Kati, of course, our 6-time VCS champion. And his champions in playoffs especially are Zeri, Tristana, Corki, Lucian. Those 4 champions. He hasn't played a single mage. He hasn't played a single non-AD carry, actually. 5 games on Zeri, 4-1. All the other champions 1 game played. So he is very much on the AD carry hype train in the mid lane. And you already pointed out 14 games of Corki with a 92.3% win rate, so 13-1 in the regular season. Of course, his team won the most games and they had the best win rate, so winning a lot of games isn't too surprising, but 13 out of 14 is still remarkable. So yeah, he is going to pick an AD carry. He even played 2 games of Draven mid lane, more Lucian, more Tristana, a Sivir, which is just completely out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's vibing with the AD
He wants to play AD carry, and he has Shogun and Artemis in the same game. So there's quite a bit of competition for the best AD carry in the game. We are going into draft now. Finally, game number 1 on the way. Vikings on blue side. They are the highest seed. They already won against Team Wales, and they vastly prefer the blue side. Of course, Zyra, the number 1 priority for the side of Guri, and it's banned away. So Vikings have to come up with a different strategy.
Are they that terrified of Vi and Viego? Is there another VI champion in the game? Does anybody know? Yeah, because it's Vi and Viego, the only 2 VI type champions. So they're out. I mean, Sounda's out of champions apparently, because that's the champion pool we decided to pinch off. That was something I don't think we talked about a ton. Is that I don't think Sounda's been particularly great, and even with a double jungle ban, I feel like Guri is absolutely going to run his fate, especially because there's more AP champions, and that's kind of what Guri wants to play. You could flex Talia if you want, but you've also still got like Nidalee, and you've got a Brand, and you've got a ton of other AP champions that I'm sure you can play whenever you want. So like I don't think they're really pressed about losing Maokai, Zyra, even though those are his most played.
Right, now look what happens. Wales will for sure pick a marksman for Artemis. They always like to put him on utility marksman like Ashe, like Varus, like stuff like that, as soon as they can, and then leave other counters for later. That would be a banger opening. I don't think Wales are that brave. But yeah, reminder to everyone that they have Hasmed, and Vayne is one of his pocket picks.
It's also one of Artemis' favorite champions. So they actually have the 2 Vayne players of the region, which is very fun. But yeah, here we see another hover. They actually decide to go for a more defensive approach. I really like this Talia hover. You already touched upon Talia as a flex pick, but it's one of Dove's most played champions. You could just flex it into the jungle, which is obviously not what they're doing now because Brent's locked in, but for the future they can think about this as well, just to pick away one more mid lane option for Dove. Kati, we could see something like a Tristana here. Tristana obviously not quite as strong as she was, but yeah, it's another Leona game, and Clockwork, I think you talked about Leona for B being his bread and butter.
Right, that's just very straightforward for him. He likes engaged champions, he's always liked them, and he performs very well on them, so why not? Now, Leona Ezreal, yeah, that's a great combo. Now I'm wondering how Wales is gonna answer with that. The Nidalee, we talked about how Sounda is not really on the top of his game, and Nidalee requires like very clean performance in order to snowball. And it also tells me that they want to try and do things early game, which is not their special. So I'm kind of seeing that they're going for some experiments in this game 1.
If they're gonna pick the Nidalee and they're gonna pick it into the Brand, I don't hate it, right? It's not like Sounda can't probably function this champion at a relatively high level and go hunt the Brand during the course of his first clears and try to be a big bully. That's like the best idea. And if you are going to be playing this as the side of Wales, you desperately need mid lane pressure. So they don't just want a marksman. They might have seen the Ezreal and they might have gone, hey, if they're going to play Kati on Ezreal in the mid lane, they don't have any actual wave clear to start things off. If we pick a high wave clear mid laner, it's going to be really easy for us to actually get aggressive in the jungle. Maybe Sounda can kind of have our early game back and not worry about it. I think the fear is that Shogun is also incredibly talented Ezreal player. They could easily just go Ezreal Leon on the bot side, not really worry about a bot lane pressure, and pick for something a lot more aggressive out of the mid lane so that Kati can shut that down. And suddenly, like we said, Sounda maybe gets shut out, maybe can't actually make the aggressive plays happen as often as you want. So you have to be a little careful here about playing your hand too quickly if you're Wales. I almost prefer they pick their last remaining top lane here and give the counter pick over to Nanu because you're not really that worried about him, so that you can maintain this mid lane. Yeah.
Orlova Yona here together with Nidalee because he provides some crowd control, AD damage to balance.
I mean, it could still be a Smolder mid lane.
Yeah.
The good thing about Smolder so early in this draft like this is Smolder usually played in solo lanes because his bot lane is so weak, but into Ezreal you can actually play him.
Rocket.
This would be quite the challenge, especially for Nana, who had a pretty bad experience against Gum, so instead he goes for it. It's still a very risky champion, not quite as explosive maybe. And Karthi,
we are going for some vintage with this here.
they could go either AD or AP. They have heavy AP in the jungle, and we have another Corki. So this is definitely gonna slot the Smolder into mid lane, I believe. So we're gonna have an AD carry last pick.
Right, yeah, that screams scaling for Dove. He just plays like that all the time, tries to have like as quiet lane as possible and then show up in team fights. Now, finally, they have a counter pick for Artemis, so they can accurately pick their matchup. I don't think it's going to be utility. The Kai'Sa is a good answer, very slippery. However, with the Camille on the other side, it's going to be hard regardless what champion he plays. So yeah, it's a bit of a uphill matchup, I think, for Artemis here. And with the short range against the Ezreal and the Corki, I think he will struggle even in late game team fights.
Kai'Sa is known as an Ezreal counter, right? Because she can kind of just jump on him, assassinate him. But into the whole team composition, it does look a little bit hard to play. Rebel, do you like what we've locked in here for Wales?
I don't know that it works. Again, to me, the whole game plan was set up around this Nidalee, and then you abandoned the Nidalee game plan the second that you kind of lose any control elsewhere. That was kind of the whole point of setting up the Gnar as well, and then you get the Gnar countered. It just, like, I don't know. Sounder's really going to have to put some pressure on the map here, and it's not going to have a ton of support from lanes, which is, typically you want lanes playing for Nidalee and not the other way around.
I think I have to cut you short because the two of us can talk about this a little bit more. Apologies. But I want to get one last word from Clockwork in. Who is going to win this game number one after you've seen draft number one play out?
Absolutely Vikings. I don't think it's going to be close. Both players that need to show up for Wales are not in the position to do so. So I think it's going to be 1-0 Vikings.
Do you agree, Rebel? Before we go back to your explanations?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so 2 Viking predictions as we are looking at the fans. I think we should be going into the game, and we have another view of this beautiful, beautiful stadium here. I think this is a special occasion for the finals. Only today and tomorrow's games are played here. So here we are, onto the Rift for game number 1, and it's game number 4 in players of this matchup. All 3 previous games have gone to Vikings. They have once again chosen the blue side for game number 1, and Wales, can they break their 3-game losing streak against this team?
I guess we'll find out, Yolway. I was giving my opinion. Clockwork gave him his opinion. What is your opinion on the matter? What happened to Guri at the start of this game? I guess he got hit with an Italy spear. What's your opinion on these 2 comps to start with?
I definitely prefer Vikings draft. I do feel like Wales has a little bit of an kind of strange anti-synergy going on there with Nidalee and Smolder.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, Smolder, I mean, I don't dislike Smolder right now. Kiaya played him to perfection in top lane and just scaled and won the game alone. But in mid lane, it's gonna give you quite a weak early game around early objectives, and well, Guri didn't actually go back to base. That's surprising, but yeah, I feel like the Smolder Nidalee thing is a little bit weird to me. If Sounder can somehow dominate the jungle matchup, even though he has a Smolder, then maybe it can work out and kind of give them pressure to scale into the later stages. But yeah, to me it looks like there's a little bit more cohesion, and they are very well practiced on the side of Vikings. Karti's 17th game on Corki or something, so yeah.
Yeah, it's like you said, at least the adaptions came through where they say, hey, what have we been missing from the meta on the side of Wales? Because again, they were not playing double marksman. Dove was playing LeBlanc last time that they saw. Maybe they got a bit of a whiff of, hey, our strengths lie in later game team fighting, that sort of thing. So let's play champions that are going to actually maybe, help with that kind of style instead of playing for something aggressive at the beginning of the game. And then not being able to ever get to the point where we feel comfortable. So maybe that's the idea. The other big thing is like Gnar in this matchup can actually do nice things. And again, if Nanao isn't on top of his game, and Hazmed's able to kind of bully him with some of the range advantage and not able to take advantage of the Camille. There is an obvious landing location for this Nidalee, which is why you see Sounda is kind of pathing towards top lane instead of towards bot or anywhere else on the map. I'm guessing Sounda is going to be looking for a play, and Hazmed, you can see, is going to try to bounce this first wave, or third wave? I don't know which one this is, so that Nidalee can have a gank here in a minute.
Yeah, and we saw this play out to the absolute devastation of Nanaware in game number 1, Vikings against Gum. Gum got an early gank in, I think around level 4, level 5. They killed Nanaware, they drew his flash out as well, and then he died in the solo kill like a minute later, and the game was just over from the top side. So hopefully Vikings has gone back and looked at the footage, and yeah, they're ready now to defend their top lane a little bit more. It is quite hard to attack him here on the tower. I think a dive with these squishy champions against Camille stun sounds pretty risky. So unless the spear hits, I think there's no gank viable from the side of Wales. So as long as he can just... Oh, Shogun in a little bit of trouble, but he's fine over there. Yeah, as long as he can stay on the tower and just farm up, maybe fall a little bit behind the CS, it should be all good.
Okay, bit of
There's the brand coming.
Yeah, Guri's going to be able to get a decent wraparound, but wasn't actually close enough to hit any spells. Oh, he did get Hugh there for a minute, but... again, not going to be too much to worry about here. Pots are going to be burnt on the side of Wales bot lane, but that's pretty much it. There's still plenty of biscuits, plenty of things to go around here, so Vikings have pressure basically through that small health pool they've got reserved. But otherwise, Guri was on the map a little bit longer. Sounda is able to get out a little bit faster, so maybe there's some play to be had. In fact, actually, if Sounda just rushes to bot side, he might actually catch a decent positioning for Shogun and B, and you can see him kind of making that play happen. There's no defense to be had either. There's no ward. Oh!
Ooh, that's a lot of damage.
All right. Good way to get start. B has to flash away. Unfortunately, Sounda, I don't think he used
There's
the
no
W
heal
pass.
in this lane.
Oh,
Oh!
great. The Seer's there. Oh my goodness. First blood going over to the way of the Nidalee.
Oh,
I think
red buff taking?
Nope. The potions, they make all the difference. The biscuit. It's all that's needed for Shogun to live that situation, but got really dangerous there for the bot lane of Vikings.
Looked a little bit nervous from B there. The movement, the reactions, all a little bit rusty, a little nervous maybe on stage. Hasn't played on quite this big of a stage in a long while, so I think there were a little bit of early game jitters. And this is a great sign for Wales, because I want to come back to something you said earlier about this draft, because I just... no, let's have a look at this replay first. It's just B just runs into all the skill shots, honestly. Yeah, he flashes W too late. Then he gets hit by another Q here. Nice smite from Sounda, to be honest, really nicely done. Cheeky little smite on the minion to make it harder to react to. But yeah, the flash was already expended for B. Another engagement.
Yeah, we're going to find quite a bit of damage from Guri. I don't think he got the W off, though, so unfortunately that's not going to get the big damage from either your flat ability or from the burst. Over... Still has something. They're going to go back in. That's a nice flash. Yep, that's easy kill, and that's going to be the brand picking that one up. So big money going the right way here for the side of Vikings.
And definitely a few questionable plays on both sides here. Now, why did they go back to their red buff when they knew two people were searching to for the attack?
And we're gonna link off here. So Artemis is just abandoned on an island, and now all he has to do is just go in with a hook shot and then let Brand.
Oh, Guri dies.
Artemis. Okay, trade off. Brand and Kadi does come in for the cleanup afterwards. Now Sounda probably is going to die as well, if I had to guess. Coming through from the now. And now Hugh even might be in some world of danger. Has the poopy pants trying to run away. I think there should be enough space. Yeah, he's fine. He's going to be able to walk out, but there's nothing you can do to defend the tower. Strange lane swap timing, if I have to say something, because again, like you said, they go to their red buff. They are missing two people on the map. One dies. There's no flee from Artemis. He just stays under the tower. Right. He's lucky to get away with a kill.
I thought they had the redive there on Hugh, honestly. But yeah, okay, they anticipated the other one to come. Okay, I actually want to look at the second kill. This one is not as exciting. This is just them overestimating their power together, I guess. Hugh saw his jungler, but the enemy team has so much more CC and burst potential. This was just a little foolish. Nice instant reaction from Guri, playing aggressively, securing the kill. But yeah, this is the dive you want to look at. He gets the shield, which gives him the possibility to tank one more tower shot. But Guri... it's so unfortunate that Guri gets the tower aggro. They wanted B to tank there. Very nice execution. And now look at Nanaware, who uses his ultimate to cover even more ground with the ult flash follow-up. Nicely done. And he's a little bit unlucky to get the magic shield, because I think if he gets the AD shield, they might be able to follow the poopy pants and dive the Rel under tower there.
Yeah, they're not too pressed about it though, because you can look now, their top side is set up for success on success. They've got Corki with a kill, like you said, 13 wins on Kadi during the regular season. Guri has a kill, is going to be able to clean things up really easily around the map. Super good at taking objectives because this is pre-nerf brand, so there's not much on the way. And then obviously now with Sheen, again, once you start getting into first item territory, that's when Hosmet is going to have, I think, a bit more problem with just full engagement from the Camille in the side lane. Now Dove even is going to get engaged on from the top side B, or from the bottom side
Oh,
B.
wait.
Dove stayed a little longer than I thought he was going to because he has Hugh's support, but Hugh I don't think is going to make much of a difference here. Instead, Dove is just down 75% of his health bar. He's got behind him the Nidalee, but again, I don't know if that's going to help too much. Now, might even open up this dragon here in a minute. Like, Hugh has to spend so much time here. Artemis isn't going to be able to keep the bottom lane shoved super well. I mean, the best they're going to neutralize this mid wave, put it in the middle. And now, again, Dragon is something that's very real even after the Void Grub take.
Yeah, and it's amazing for Vikings to secure Void Grubs without having to give up...
oh my
enough
goodness,
dive
he
to Dove?
nowhere from the top rope comes into now, and he's going to go down.
Oh, no. Oh, and Artemis
now
is here?
Kadi's even, yeah, Artemis comes flying in because he doesn't have many other places to be. Kadi is not really under much threat here unless there was a
What
flash.
is happening?
Spear B is going to go down, though, so there's that. The wave is gone, so there's no additional pushing, no dive to come through. But Team Wales strikes back. Vikings trying to make an aggressive play happen in mid, and it just fails.
This is really unfortunate for Nanoware because he was in a great position in top lane. He wanted to accelerate his mid lane, but it's a bit too deep there. They had vision on Dove, so Dove actually got this flash of in time, and then it's just, oh, Kati just misses two crucial skill shots on Dove. That could have been a kill if the Kati's a little better at aiming those. And that's a kill for Artemis back as well, I believe, on Kati there, or who got the kill?
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, it was the kill on the support, of course. So Artemis did get the kill. He does lose quite a lot of time in the bot lane, and Guri gets an opportunity now to go to Dragon. So all in all, it's still a decent overall map position there for Vikings. They got the grubs, they're going to get the Dragon, but the kills are a little annoying.
Oh man, and now we can start the bullying process because now is thrown away their life twice now, or at least one time now. I think twice now. But that's another kill going over to Sounda, who's going to be able to continue to help, supply the map with enough resource. And again, the fear here is like Team Wales wants to play for hyper late. They've got Kaiser, they've got Smolder, they're doing okay, so they don't want to lose out this early game. So this aggression that's falling flat on its face for the side of Vikings, every single time that happens, just a little bit more time they buy themselves to scale up. And you can see, again, it's very, very simple. The Gnar able to handle the now in the business. The CC comes through, Sounda connects with a spear, and again, this is now no longer a counter matchup. You're down 20 CS, you're down the armor boots. I mean, what are you supposed to do against this Gnar?
Yeah, the tower is almost down though, so Nanoware is going to be able to farm safely in the side lane later on. I don't think Na is great at chasing down Camille alone, so let's see if Hasmu gets strong enough to actually threaten the solo kills, but for now, I think this just gives him an advantage in the mid-game team fights, and Nanoware is going to stay back a bit and try to farm up to a second, third item later on. Bot lane fell, and Shogun collected a lot of money there. He's already on his Trinity Force, the first player in the game to complete the Trinity. There are 4 or 5 champions in the game who want to build Trinity Force, so this is quite the big power spike. You can see the damage on Artemis. That does hurt, and he's not even level 9, so this Q is not maxed out. If he lands a few Qs before any kind of fight, they probably can't even continue.
Not much. Okay. They find another little bit of a tag on Hugh, but Hugh's not going to go down this time. They don't decide to keep following through. Void Grubs being up is probably the best opportunity that Vikings have to make this game go very, very easily in their direction, just because again now you're gonna have Ezreal on first item, you're gonna have Corki on first item, you've already got a brand with Leandris. Like, you are not feeling the effects of any sort of fighting that's gonna come through from the side of Wales, so they're gonna be looking at like, okay, we can get towers now, we can put a lot of pressure, and this is where the acceleration I think can finally, you can hit the accelerator with your foot now a little bit as Vikings, because again now when you make these kind of swingy plays happen, even if they don't go perfectly, a play like that on bottom side, it nets Shogun a whole tower, it nets Camille a whole tower, so you're not really
Look at the pushing power.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's down 2 plates already. That's, what, 5 seconds spent with this tower? 10 seconds spent with this tower?
Yeah,
and Artemis was gone? Like, exactly what you want to try to, because again, they haven't been winning fights, the plays haven't been going perfectly for them, and so this is now the best way for them to be able to take this advantage and push it a lot further.
I think this is actually extremely impressive. We saw glimpses of this, Vikings outplaying Gum around the map, but this early game, they are 3 to 5 kills down, but they've secured all 6 grubs. They've secured the first dragon, they've secured first tower. What haven't they secured on the map? Okay, they lost some kills because of foolish overextensions, but in terms of macro rotations and getting all the early objectives, they have been flawless. This is quite the display, and yeah, just imagine this game when they, if they don't go for the silly dives, top and mid lane, they would have been 3-4k gold ahead. So now they have to just work with 1k gold, but it's still a very advantageous position.
Yeah, or even if you consider that, like, if 1 or 2 of their plays go really heavily in their favor without giving a trade kill back to Artemis, without giving a second trade kill back to Artemis, like, Wales is probably not only... It's not just that Vikings get more gold off the back of their plays, but Wales has less gold, and so this advantage snowballs so much harder. I think it's just a later snowball, but now you have a lot more opportunity, I think, from the side of Vikings. This is where I want to see them equalize the map, though. Again, if you can get Camille back to a place where she feels comfortable into the Gnar and the one-on-one in this lane, I really think this is the real danger, because again, that means that your side lane pressure is going to feel so much more, it's so much more vicious against the side of Wales when you start putting that on. And maybe they'll put Kadi up here into this lane and make sure that, like, you know, they have some sort of pushing power. They've already got Shogun in the mid lane, so they just want some more pressure towards the top side of the map for the Rift Herald that's going to be spawning in a minute.
Yeah, and look at the item power spikes on the side of Vikings right now. First item completed on 4 out of 5 champions. Only the support missing is first, and yeah, okay, that's a Warmogs. Gonna be nice, but level 6 doesn't need a Warmogs yet. So that's Triple Trinity and Leandres, plus Pen Boots already for the side of Guri. So this is a strong, strong side from Vikings. I'm not sure if Wales even wants to think about contesting here. There is an opportunity for Vikings actually to maybe fake this Herald and let Camille get a lot of alone time in bot lane and see how they play it.
Yeah, we got a 4v4, now 5v4, I think, kind of brewing in the mid lane, but this went down so fast. They need to get to the eye as quick as possible, but there's not enough reinforcement coming out of the middle of the map. Is that an instant proc by Guri?
Looks like it. And this is a big blunder from Wales. They didn't read the map correctly. They were 5v4 on the top side of the map, and they just let Vikings get everything. They gave Camille like 2 full waves of experience and push. Now the dragon is gonna be uncontestable for them too. This is just a masterclass in macro. Look at this, top turret down. They got the Herald. Now they can set up for dragon. They already have vision established on the bot side.
They're gonna escape. Interesting.
He wants to get to dragon, I think, as quickly as he can.
Or he's going to put it in mid, and then it's just going to force something on mid lane, or try to get it to walk towards mid lane, so they have
Another tower.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Everything went wrong for them right there. And it's all off... I think it was indecision more than anything else, because Wales looked like they were gearing up to say, hey, let's fight the 5-on-4, force the teleport out of Camille around this this Rift Herald. And then they just didn't. They instead just got spotted on midwave with 2 characters. They decided to hang out in midwave for a little bit too long. And then, again, I was a little curious. I was like, why are they just dropping Rift Herald right now? Well, they would have had to walk out of mid and bot lane, but they lost mid and bot lane anyway. Like, I don't... Like, at no point was Wales definitive or decisive at all. And as a result, they kind of just got run around the map like crazy.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by this mid game. I have to say, early game Vikings did look a little bit nervous, but now they are back to what they learned in all the trainings, right? We've seen Hanke teams be very good in macro before, and this is just honestly almost perfectly played. They got all the objectives. Okay, they lost the top tower now, but that was inevitable in the long run. They're only 2k gold ahead, but they have 2 dragons under the belts. They have all 6 grubs, which are going to be there. They are going to persist for the rest of the game. So this is really quite the big advantage. And it's not like their team doesn't scale, right? They have Camille, they have Corki, they have Asriel. Even Brand is a huge menace in the late game. So they are fine extending the game. But I think this actually comes back to how the first series went, right? Because Wales against Secret and against Flash, they won through late game. Their games went 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes all the time. And then they played against Vikings, and one game lasted more than 30 minutes, barely. All the other games were 25, 26. Because Vikings just destroyed them in the mid game. So I am still a little bit skeptical if this strategy of going for ultra late game scaling can work for the side of Wales.
Yeah, we were suggesting again, the LeBlanc maybe didn't work, but again, trying some sort of other type of character where it's like, okay, do you play something aggressive in the mid? Do you play something aggressive in the jungle? I don't even mind the fact that they went for like the Nidalee. I think the Nidalee could have worked a lot better, but again, you went away from the Nidalee's aggression by picking for this Smolder and playing for the late game, and now it's coming back to bite you just a little bit. Because think about, I mean, if they had gone for more early game out of their mid lane, imagine the types of things you could have been doing with the advantage they accrued at the beginning. If they would have been able to fight back one or two of these major objectives, this game would probably be even, if not, even slightly in their favor after a lot of the early game fumbles. But instead, they have to play a lot more pensively. And as a result, I mean, we're 3 minutes until third dragon. It's Infernal Soul, so it's going to be difficult for them to push that back. They're going to have to figure out a timing here that they're going to be able to fight back. And like you said, again, we've been talking about their scaling, but like I like Brand a heck of a lot more than a Nidalee in a late game team fight or even a mid game team fight. So that's B. Able to lock down, good flash from Hausmed just to make sure he doesn't get completely wrecked by Guri.
Flash Force is huge though for the next team fight, right? Because that's going to be not going to be available for the dragon spawning in 2.5 minutes, and that's third dragon. So that's a huge threat, a huge comeback mechanism off the table now from the side of Wales. That's probably exactly what they wanted. This is actually really high-level gameplay. This is something we see a lot in the strong Asian leagues, where they fight just for resources, not so much for kills, but more to force flashes, to force ultimates before the big cooldown. So this is quite a good sign.
And another flash burned. I mean, Vikings have been in this top quadrant for 2 minutes, and apparently 2 people could not figure out how to not burn their flashes during this time period. Yes, they did get the blue buff. That's probably the one thing they did get, but now they're going to get sieged up on this bottom tower. And again, Hausmed can't go flashing in because he's already burnt that. Sounda can't flash and follow up on anything. They've got this massive wood grub army, and bottom tower's just gone. Mid lane can get pushed here too by Nanao, but I'm lost for words here because again, this is like it's a Hankei team. Their macro is just it's incredible. It's something that I haven't seen before. Wales just looks like a lost puppy right now, trying to figure out where to go on the map. Honestly, at this point, I think they're just trying to collect CS, hoping that at some point they're going to get a chance to fight. But I don't know when that's going to show up. Yulwei.
This reminds me very much of I think it was last year when Saigon Buffalo played against Team Secret. And Buffalo was by far the better fighting team. They won all the team fights 5v5, but Secret was so much better in macro. They're usually the games where 3-4 kills they had for Saigon Buffalo, then mid-game hit, and Secret closed the gold gap just to lose late game in a team fight again. But yeah, it looks like Vikings is just so superior in all their setups and all their macro decisions so far, which still hasn't really shown up in terms of gold difference, but the game is not just about gold, right? We are looking at 2 dragons. Yeah. The Baron setup is going to be pretty great as well. They have amazing Baron damage, double ADC, double Trinity ADC with Brand, and even a top laner that can deal damage if she's there as well. So the Baron can fall in a matter of seconds. So Viking is just looking at their first opportunity to just secure the game. I think the next dragon is going to be uncontested, so we're probably looking for dragon number 4, where Wales can make their stand. And yeah, it's just about, can they get to the item power spikes? Can they try to maybe eliminate someone before the dragon even spawns? Because 4 dragon streak for Vikings with Infernal Soul, that's probably a game-winning thing.
Almost certainly, yeah. Especially because now you're getting like Monomunes, they're done now for Kadi and Shogun. You've got Ryla is now done for Guri. Like this is probably one of the stronger moments in the game for Vikings. Again, they will still scale from this point on, but this moment right here is probably one of the hardest moments in the entire game to fight at, which is tough for Wales because this is the particular turning moment where it's like, okay, now your back's against the wall, right? You lose any fight, Baron's off the board. Like if you lose in the next 4 minutes, anything that you lose in terms of tools is not going to be available for that Baron or for the dragon fight that comes up in that 4-minute time period. So I'm not sure where their game plan lies to try to make that fight happen. I mean, how do they even force a fight? Are they just expecting Hugh or Hausmed to go, gallivanting into the midst of Vikings, or what is their strategy here to try to force this fight?
Yeah, and it's even more difficult because they are now in the classic situation where the enemy team can choose. They can choose between Baron and Soul, and both are great. But if you get to choose, you only have Baron, which is great, and 1 dragon, which is not great. It's just denying the Soul. So the enemy team can absolutely choose to go for Baron, while they bait you into thinking you are going to go for the Soul, and then they trade Baron for a single dragon, which is obviously hugely advantageous. So Vikings now with every option on the menu. The only thing they can't do is die just before one of those objective spawns. So they just have to keep it tight, keep it all together. Don't have another one of those weird plays where they try to overdive. But I think we've seen in the last few minutes, in the last 10 minutes actually, that they've toned down the aggression, the early game plays, and just played it very textbook.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't gotten rambunctious, they haven't gotten unsettled. Maybe Team Wales still believes that they've got the power, the ability to win a game like this, even though they're down 3k and they're down 3 dragons. Things look bleak, but again, if their faith is there, they have Artemis. There's always a chance. You never count team out when they've got Artemis in a late game team fight, but who's to say? So now we're looking at Vikings are doing a much better job, I think, starting to harass with this, because they've got top push now. They're like forcing the enemy team towards the Baron buff at all times. There's like no spreading out. That condenses their map into 2 lanes, which makes it much, much harder, I think, to get gold and to put it into the right people, right? Like, that means Gnar is probably going to have to sacrifice, or if you're putting somebody out there, you're constantly under the threat of a TP from, your top laner on the side of Vikings joining at the Baron pit before you have the ability to come into the fight. Specifically, like, Hosman's going to have to manage the Gnar bar really heavily, because, again, if you end up Gnaring out at the wrong time and then you have to cross map and you don't have Mega Gnar, like, you're basically doomed in a fight. So, Vikings, I like this. I really want to see them condense this map down into top and mid lane, basically, and not worry about bottom lane at all, because I would love to see them be able to put that type of pressure onto Wales in the next 2 minutes.
And actually, I think if Vikings is really paying attention to Dove, they should try to force a fight right now, because Dove is on 195 stacks. He's still not on 225. So he's quite weak for this point in the game, 24 minutes into the game. He should be sitting on his 3rd evolution, so he's way behind in terms of stacks, which makes him such a horrendously weak champion at this point in the game. So I think they can play quite aggressively and try to force maybe an engagement, try to trade a few flashes, because right now, Duff is still not in his final form.
Yeah, you're seeing Hosman now. Again, every single time Gnar's out, you have to be careful. Because, again, if he tries to teleport as mini Gnar across the map, he's just going to be useless in a fight. And, like you said, they're trying to strong arm into the shallow areas around the Baron just to make sure they can clear out some of the vision. I like that from B. That's got to be some veterancy coming in saying, hey, we need this vision, we need this control. We got to make sure Wales knows that we're here and that we have this presence. Don't let them sneak a Baron in the wrong circumstance. Again, they also have double marksman and at least a Leandry's version of an AP jungler. It's not that good, but much, much worse than the brand. But there's nothing else to be said about that. And now a minute. I mean, it feels like the time is just burning away here. You're looking at Hosmed. Oh, no. Yeah. Hook shot. Ultimate. Hosmed's stuck in place. He does get to Gnar out. Fortunately, he's going to Gnar them away. He does live, but not for very long, because Kadi's able to catch him on the backside of that one. And with that... Yeah, he flashed to try to get away.
I think the flash is never the play there. Look at the timer for the dragon. Now the flash is down again. The Mega Gnar flash that could turn the teamfight in their favor. Maybe their only tool, really, they can turn, because Rel Engage is way too easy to read, and all the other champions kind of just deal damage. So now the biggest CC, the biggest turnaround tool is gone. And this is just foolish from Husband, honestly. He tries to chase into the Camille because he thinks he can win 1v1, but... it's just not enough awareness of him, and the auto attack is slow.
Oh,
there we have the engagement.
Q is going to get caught out to start with. He's definitely going to die, and then Dove and Sounda have to back up because of the brand spells that are going to be coming through. And just off that, the fight's over. I mean, there's nothing else to be said. Hosmed is going to be stuck. He's only just now coming in. They do have Dove's full stacks available. Dove does get pushed out though by Shogun's ultimate. Shogun also going to be hunting down Sounda. There's nobody really to help with this punch coming in. Dove is basically at half health. Don't think you really have the ability to step in as Sounda super easily. So now, between Brand and Ezreal and Camille, should just be the...
Ooh, Guri gets hit.
Great spear.
There is a little bit of a smite spear chance. Nope.
Go, yeah, and now it's back in the back line, so there's not much to be said there. At best, they get Camille. They're not even going to get Camille. Hosmed's now going to get run down. He has Mega Gnar. He's going to get chased down by Kadi. Kadi should be able to help clean up that kill, and then Hio is going to be all on his lonesome mule way. I guess Artemis is still on the map, and they're not going to be able to stop the Baron from coming through. And again, this has been a slow burn, but it is now a raging fire. 6,000 gold up, every single dragon in the game. Baron's going to be in their back pocket. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. Wales has had no relevancy since like minute 5.
It's so impressive. Honestly, I'm stunned. Like, I can't remember such a clean, thought-out execution of a game from even terms in the early game and to completely unplayable in 27 minutes ever in the VCS. This is one of the cleanest mid games I've ever seen, and they tried to pick B, and I mean, if it succeeds, I guess, but you're down an R, so as soon as they overstep, the game is over. Like, at this point, everyone knows, all 10 players know the game is over. Because the Gnar is dead, Artemis is dead, the Soul is gonna fall, the Baron is gonna fall. They all know it's over. They tried, there was a valiant effort to try and steal, but yeah, at this point, the chances of actually coming back into this game are below 5%, I'd say, so... This is just great execution from Vikings, and look at their damage output. The 280 carries, they're safe, they have insane DPS. It's just, yeah, it's just perfectly played. 9-6 in kills. This doesn't really feel like a VCS game, to be honest. It kind of feels like one of those games when you look at those old world streams that are running again, where a Korean team falls behind in kills against let's say a European team, and then nothing happens, and in 27 minutes the Nexus falls, and you're like, what just happened? Nothing went their way, and Wales need to go back to the drawing board. This is game number 4. They've lost to Vikings in a row in players, and they weren't close in any of those games.
No. The other big thing I'm noticing, I don't think at any point in this game has Shogun been under legitimately any threat. I know he's an Ezreal, but it's one thing to, like, have very few moments of threat. He legitimately, I don't think, has been below half health since the beginning of the game in the laning phase. So, like, they gotta figure out ways to put that pressure on. That's Nanoeg. He just wants the kill against Hugh. He was frustrated by the Magnet Storm disrupting him earlier, so there is that. Top inhib's down, mid inhib's gonna be down, bot inhib's gonna be down. That is a perfectly layered set of waves. Good lord, their macro is on point right now. I've never seen macro like this in the VCS. I was gone for the most of the split, but I don't know who has been eating their Wheaties teaching people these things, but this looks so easy for them to accomplish. And just like that, I mean, towers are down. There's not even a fight to be had here because there's no way to force. They have nobody that can go in. I mean, they just have to watch as their Nexus gets ripped out in front of them, Yowei.
30 again, and I think I have a big talking point for the next game, which is Ezreal, because first picked here and was denied by Gum over and over and over again in the series they played, and I think Team Wales should definitely look back at those stats, because apparently Ezreal is just a death sentence. So many successful games for Ezreal, and I think we're going to have a little bit of a breakdown for this game now with our expert Clockwork, who's sat on the sidelines and watched the game. Clockwork. For the Team Wales hopeful, this game is not really the greatest sign, is it?
Okay, point 1, I'm not a Team Wales hopeful, just to make it clear. But yeah, when I said at the beginning that what Wales tries to do is to take it to late game stages and try to win team fights for that, and Vikings does this better, we didn't even really see that this game, because for the whole, like, after 10 minutes, Team Wales looked like a kid who can't find their mom at the supermarket. They were just running around the map without any idea what to do. And meanwhile, Vikings was just picking whatever they wanted from every shelf. They put the grubs, they caught the dragons, Herald, every tower. And then they just, when they felt ready, when their grocery was over, they hit them with a full cart and making no discounts. These looked like really PvE from Vikings. And Team Wales really needs to clear their minds and try to come up with a plan other than react to enemy mistakes, because that cannot be enough.
Oh my
I think my favorite play in the whole game was when they walked into their own blue buff area, got forced out with a flash, and then walked back in like 20 seconds later, and there was another flash blown to get away. That was maybe the epitome of their confusion. They have never seen such movement, such coordination in the enemy team, and it clearly showed. They were not even close to the same level. And of course, we have to think about the two Koreans, right? The communication can't be on the same level as Vikings. Vikings, a long-established team with good coaching staff, with so much experience, even international experience when it comes to SOFM. And yeah, it just looks like their communication is crisp, their rotations are really strong. And on the other side, we can only speculate, but it definitely doesn't look like their communication is on the same level.
Didn't seem like it over the course of that game, but I don't know. I don't know whether it's a game planning issue. I don't know whether it's an understanding issue. We knew coming in that it was going to be difficult for Wales to make things happen. We were surprised when they beat Team Secret. We'd be astonished if they even took a game off of Vikings for a lot of reasons. But we were hoping that they'd put up at least a little bit more of a fight than this, because this is just This is savage. I mean, I don't know what to do. One main thing I'm noticing about this meta is like, what are you supposed to do? If you're playing in 3 lanes with 3 damage dealers and also you have like an AP jungler, how the hell are you supposed to start a fight? This is like the exact opposite of what VCS wants. We want like 4 tanks and 1 marksman that just kills all the tanks, and we just want to be engaging on each other at all times. That's what we'd prefer. I'd like to see that rather than this. This is just again, Smolder got 250 stacks and sat there and then did nothing the entire game. Like, that's not fun. No one wants to watch that. Nobody wants to play that sort of game. We would like to see more forcing. And if, again, even if it's not meta, play something that you can do to instigate in some capacity.
I'm gonna equal Rebel on this because this was uncharacteristic from Vikings, because like you would see from your AI generated VCS team, you would expect, first few dives fail, you keep trying. Instead, in barely 10 minutes, Viking assess the situation, realize that these dives are not working, let's not do them. Let's just stop. Let's take objectives. We are better at setting them up. Wales cannot do anything if we just do that. And that was true. And in the span of 10 minutes, Vikings turned their game approach around and just ran with it. And that is impressive. That is what I was mentioning when I told that despite this turnover, the top teams have actually improved compared to last year's. So we should be very happy about this performance from Vikings.
Yeah, I think that's for sure. That was a very impressive first game from Vikings and a little bit of a snoozer from Wales. Hopefully they wake up. I mean, I have no idea about sleep cycles for Wales, but it seems like they're still deeply asleep underwater. And this was the third game in a row that didn't even last 30 minutes against Vikings. They have to find a recipe. They have to find something to make these games at least a little bit more competitive, because right now they're just getting rolled. They're not even close. And I think we're going to go to a short break and then come back in a few minutes to see if there's something up in the Team Wales playbook that can breathe a little bit of life back into this series, because right now it looks like a Vikings sweep. Welcome back for game number 2 between Vikings? Yeah, Vikings. That's the name. And Team Wales. We have a 1-0 advantage for Vikings. It didn't even... last week we had 40-minute games, after 40-minute games, maybe a 50-minute game. And this time it was not even 30, so maybe we're in for a little bit of a shorter one today. Welcome back, Rebel and Clockwork. I want to talk about the draft again, because you two brought up the strategy of maybe a little bit of engage lacking for the side, especially of the less coordinated team on the side of Wales. So let's look at this draft, because the Smolden Italy composition, we talked about it on in-game, but it's actually very different from what they tried to do last time they played against Vikings. They drafted. I'm just going to tell you the compositions, because they're all very similar. Nar, Sinjao, LeBlanc, Varus, Nautilus. Every single champion has engage. Next game, almost the same with Vi and Milio. Okay, Milio not the greatest engager, but Vi, another huge engage tool. And then the last game, they had another Vi pick. They had a Rakan and a Renekton. So a lot of CC, a lot of very easy engage tools. But then again, they still lost those games in 30 minutes. So it didn't really work out for them there. Rebel, you look like you want to say something.
yo, wait, this was like months ago, though. The meta has
No.
drastically.
This is last week.
No. It had to be months ago, right? That had to be drastically, like it had to be, right? There's no way that somebody would flip all 5 champions of their draft in less than a week, on the same patch, right?
I mean, it makes sense. When you get stomped 3-0, you kind of have to change something. So now they changed everything, apart from the Nar maybe, and it still didn't work. So what can they do?
You take this one, Clockwork.
They tried against Team Secret, and it did work. Something like that has some engage, like the Shinzao and the Nautilus, and at the same time disengage stuff like the Karma. Hasmed has played the Karma, and it did work. Now, I don't know how reliable it is, because it's like very niche pick, but they could try to engineer something that just... What is it? What was the Death Balls 5v5? Didn't work. So they tried to do a little bit of that at some point, where they realized that they were behind, and they tried to dive B, I think, in the middle tower, but then they couldn't exit the situation and they lost the game. So maybe if they could pair with Disengage some other tools to, set up the fights and the ends of the fights, maybe that could start working better. I don't think going for side lane plays it's going to work out, because there's like Kati can always match in the side lane. He knows by now how to react to that, and Vikings have shown that there's a very good understanding of map movements, and they cannot be outmapped by Wales. So keep it to fights, but set them up in a different way.
Yeah, I want to touch on another thing, and that is the priority to deny certain champions from Vikings, because this is something Gam showed over and over again last week, and 2 champions come to mind in particular. One of them is Ezreal, and the other is Zyra. We saw the same happen here. Zyra was banned on red side, which makes sense, because they first picked Zyra every opportunity they could, and Guri's Zyra is really strong, but they left open the Ezreal, and 4 out of the 5 games, Ezreal was actually picked by Gam in the best of 5 they played against Vikings, and in the 5th game, Ezreal was completely ignored, weirdly enough, but this is, I think, one of the key champions here. Ezreal for Shogun is almost unbeaten, so I think going into draft number 2, I want to see some change about this Ezreal pick.
Yeah, it's got high power.
Rebel.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you go
I'm
ahead.
gonna echo Rebel that at the end of the last match said that Shogun was never threatened, and yeah, that's the Ezreal in a nutshell. If you don't provide enough of a threat or engineer these like ganks and team fights, he just plays PvE.
Let's see what they actually do in the draft, because we are into draft number 2.
Right.
And one of the biggest things, there is actually, I don't know if you know this, there's a massive hole in the drafting strategy of Vikings. I'm going to see if the 2 of you can figure out what band that they're missing. But the Ezreal was really nice in the last game, and in these games without super high engage, it's the most valuable champion in the game because you can't stick to it, but also it just does damage freely. How many times did you see Artemis get chunked by half his health bar by taking a single WQ combo, or a quarter of his health bar from just taking a Q from Shogun over the course of the game? You know how frustrating it is if you don't have any sort of sustain to just take a quarter of your health bar out of nowhere? They actually messed up their draft even worse this time on the side of Vikings if you see what bans they're missing here.
Yeah, the Varus is another characteristic Artemis pick. Whales have always been doing that they just immediately, as soon as the start begins, they just put Artemis on comfort. This is going to work again. This also provides some tool of disengage with Varus ultimate, so there is some of what I was mentioning. And the Xinjiao and the Orianna also match that. Both their ultimates can be used to disengage.
Yeah.
I am liking what Whales are doing, provided that it's still very off meta.
Yeah, I think we're time traveling here with Varus, Orianna, Xinjiao. I think we're back to like 2017 or something. I have no idea. Rebel, please, I want the answers.
Yeah.
What champions are you referring to?
Okay, do you remember what they banned last game on the side of Vikings?
Viego, Vi, and Rumble, I think.
That's right. They're the Vikings, and they banned Viego and Vi, but they forgot to ban Victor last game, the only other VI champion in the game. So Victor was the obvious choice this game to try to put, somebody on. But, boo, yeah, boo yourself. Does anyone actually play? Here's a question for the two of you, because I get kind of some of these things in passing. Has anyone ever tried the Locket Varus top lane? I know it sounds like something ridiculous, but like at this point, I'd rather see something nonsensical and fun than something that's gonna just get absolutely blown out of the water here.
Sounds like something Team Mad Lions' top laner would have done, maybe. I know he played some top lane Mervyn. I think he played some top lane Varus, but I'm not sure about the build. But yeah, hopefully. I mean, Hasmid is definitely good for some top lane Varus. He is the AD carry player who doesn't like to play AD carry. He likes to play AD carries, but in top lane. So maybe this is a top lane Varus. Could be.
May I point out one thing? Now, we pointed out before that Ezreal played the PvE, and now that they have the Whales have Varus, Orianna, and Xinjiao, whoever is gonna touch the Ziggs. Like Shogun is going to have another very free game. He's never gonna see an enemy in his screen.
Here's a wild concept. What if you built Lethality Varus instead of building on-hit Varus? Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't it be crazy if you're playing in a meta with only Siege Mages and really weak marksmen that never build armor, and you build only Lethality items on somebody who can burst for 1200 damage from your entire screen? Wouldn't that be crazy?
I think people really dislike the build right now, but yeah, maybe
What they dislike, it works! How are you supposed to do anything as Smolder or Ziggs when you take 1200 damage from an arrow an entire screen away?
I want to point out how insanely different Vikings draft is compared to the last one. This is nothing like what they played before. Okay,
I like
maybe.
Gwen.
Yeah, there's one champion that kind of resembles the last composition, which is Smolder, but everything else is so different. There's no Ethereal, there's no AP jungler, there's no split pushing top laner. What is happening? This is apparently the red side strategy is completely different.
Maybe, you go ahead.
Yeah, that's cool to see. It's kind of a statement because, as I said before, their drafts are usually very repetitive. They rely a lot on these comfort champions like the Corki, like Leona, and so on. But showing this level of adaptation and variation, even after a win, they're sending a message to GAM here. We can play more than that.
It's pretty cool. I was actually hoping for even more tankiness. It would have been crazy to go back to like 2015 OG like 2 carry or even 1 carry triple tank type play in the middle of like a crazy marksman meta, but we're not going to get that here. But yeah, it is quite a subversion from what we were expecting in terms of compositions on both sides, I would say. It's a bit of a return to their last series, which is kind of funny from Wales because it didn't work, but who knows? Maybe they can make it work this time.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the best shot in a while against the Vikings. Different composition, especially on the Viking side. I don't even care as much about the Wales side because I think if both teams play their best compositions, Vikings just wins 100% of the time. But maybe this isn't Vikings' best composition, and it does look like they have to fight a lot more. They can't get away with so many like sneaky rotation plays and then just getting objective after objective. They are going to have to team fight, so that's an opportunity for Wales. Clockwork. Do you think Wales has it? Can they break the 4-game losing streak in playoffs against Vikings?
I think this time they will. I like the composition. They followed one-to-one my advice, and I am a PhD, so that's going to work.
Sure. Surely the PhD knows what he's talking about. Rebel, do you agree?
I'm sorry, I missed his position because he was too busy.
You think Wales will win here?
I mean, Wales will win here? No,
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Sorry.
What a surprise. Okay, thank you very much, Clockwork. We're going to rely on your wisdom after the game, but now we're on to the Rift again, and this is an amazing chroma for this dragon skin.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I want that.
This is pretty cool. Okay. Well, now we get into game 2, I guess. That's pretty nice. We're going to see junglers run past each other as usual. Do we see this little of stuff anymore? I feel like we don't see... There's too many melee characters in this game. There's 6 melee champions? That's wild.
Did you just get 10 gold for fishing?
Yeah, you can gold
That's
now.
broken.
I think getting 10 gold is like super rare. Like inarguably super rare.
Okay, none aware.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it's wild what you can do though. Yeah, 10 gold is crazy.
So, Smolder against Orianna sounds a little miserable for the side of Smolder, but I'm not entirely sure if that's true. I mean, he does play like an AD mage, right? He is essentially just a mage with AD, who people label as AD carry, but he's not really an AD carry. So maybe he's fine. I think range-wise and auto-tech trading should be in favor of Orianna most of the time, so let's see how Carti can deal with this.
Yeah, see, like, in lanes like this, typically, I thought you would go, like, Doran's Ring. I don't know if that was, like, really old-school tech on Smolder, but, like, I like it a lot more with, like, 2-3 points in E to start, or W to start with. Yeah, 2-3 points in W, so you have a bit more wave clear, a bit more poke against somebody. Because what stops Orianna from just standing on top of you? Like, if she walks past the wave and just says, you're not allowed to come here, like, what are you going to do? You don't beat her in an auto battle. You don't beat her when she's got 2 abilities. Like, a shield is going to make it impossible for you to trade at all. So, like, if I were Kadi, I'd be playing a bit more poke-oriented than anything else, but that depends on how Dove wants to play this, I guess.
I mean, looking at the mid lane position, it doesn't look like much is stopping her from dominating this one.
No. Yeah.
Also, we have to talk... We actually didn't touch on this at all. Hugsmith back on his once famous Gwen. We haven't seen it in ages, but Gwen is really bad into Jax, I mean. So now the counter pick came in from Nanaway. Let's see if you can actually do something on this counter pick. Jungle Clash with priority for the Braum, so Guri in a tough spot here.
Love that. Okay, can he smite steal? Who knows? B's here as well, so they could try to actually show guy. Everyone's here. I mean, we're just gonna make it happen. Okay, that's gonna be a CC train for the Sentry, though. Wow, lots of damage on Q. He's gonna be able to put the shield up and flash away. Who got the buff? I think Guri still got the buff too. So that was a fumbled early play from Wales.
High risk, medium reward play from Wales, and it goes horribly wrong. Now Sounder is quite low on HP. He does have the red buff to give him a little bit of regen back, and of course he's also Xin Zhao, so he just auto-attacks 3 times and he's fine. But in the end, still hugely unsuccessful invade. Guri now with an advantage in terms of experience, and it also reset the bot lane. So yeah, looks like Vikings just won on all fronts there.
Yeah, one of the biggest things, again, when you've got that much CC, actually, Housemed's doing okay. There's also Kadi is on, like, 10 health. I don't know what happened with Dove and Kadi in the mid lane, but double flashes were burnt, and I think we missed that. I hope we get a replay of that off screen. Top lane could still be, like, building to something as well. Both junglers were gone, and now Guri's back on the map to try to help support Nanaway. Housemed's outside the stun range. Yeah, you got to try to collapse the wave, but again, you're terrified. I'm waiting for Sejuani to just show up because I know it's going to happen any second now. Housemed basically has to try to get this and bounce as fast as possible, which is going to happen. Oh, no, I cast a curse to him. What have I done? What have I done?
Oh, Nanaway, a little bit risky. Nope, there it is. Can he get the cannon too? And he gets the cannon too.
I'm so sorry, Housemed. That was entirely my fault. Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. He would have walked away.
I think this is the first time I've cast a game of Nanowares where he's ahead early game, so this is a
Just
good
had to
start
keep
for him.
walking. Yeah, super rare. Again, he has the counter matchup. Last game, he sort of like Camille's not exactly a counter matchup, but it's supposed to be good into the Gnar because the laning phase is supposed to be decent. But this is a much more like definitive, like Jax is good into Gwen. There's not like much to say about it, and so it's a much more skill-intensive matchup for Hasmet here. So getting him ahead, super valuable. Guri sets him up for decent success. That's nice for the Vikings because that's another place on the map they don't really have to worry about.
Yeah, now Kati finally evolved his Q, so his wave clear is way better, putting some pressure onto Dove. Of course, also Guri waiting there behind him is going to put extra pressure on Dove's movement. A little bit of a support clash here, which, yeah, is very interesting to watch. So much damage being exchanged there.
It was funny. Hugh missed the Q, and immediately B's like, "You're getting punished for that, buddy," and dropped him 30 health or something like that. It's a complete waste of time for both of them.
Rel against Braum, there's not a lot of damage happening in that matchup, that's for sure.
It'd be cool if they did. Yeah, for how flashy Rel's moves are, it would be cool if you could have like a full AP build that actually did a bunch of chunk damage.
Oh my god.
Doesn't exist. Alright, well, Nanoe has like an insane push top side.
Yeah.
Your bot lane's up in top lane. Rift Herald should just be going to the way of the Vikings, assumably. Q's here. Did they fight it? I mean, did they?
Fury's not 6, but he might hit 6 after 2 grabs.
Nanoe's here. Gwen's here too with
Gwen
level
6.
6. You gotta be terrified of what the Gwen can do here. You do not want to give her a bunch of gold. Okay, the last ultimate's going to miss. Stun's not going to come through quite yet either. Nanoe is going to be able to prevent that with the stun. Going to hit all 3.
Oh, he gets out of there.
Great play. Yeah, great play. Guri might not. There's a bit of slow. Oh, nice W coming through. Sound is going to be able to follow that one as well. And now actually there's a bit of fear for Nanoe. The wave is fortunately pushed out against him, and so you're not really that worried about that unless they want to like flash that wall, but Hasmet doesn't have it, so could stop him. There you go.
Oh, that is so annoying.
Yeah. Braum could just stay here and keep doing it if he wanted to. Yeah, Huber's gonna do it.
Oh my gosh.
Is that enough? Honestly, if I were Nana, I'd run at him, but then
this is
Snana
risky now.
obviously still here too.
Look at Sedrani.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, they're
this
both
could
coming
go
up.
horribly wrong.
Oh,
my
no,
God.
no, why? He's a melee champion. Why are you running into the guy with a spread? And 2 kills go over to the husband wants it.
No, husband.
Please. Okay, he gets the ignite kill. But that's that. Oh, no. Yo, way. Why?
Cut the tape. Oh, it's a horror. Oh, they didn't count the seconds. You have early game. They're so quick back into the lane because of the added movement speed after respawning, and they completely forgot about that. And he's so hard to kill. You can't burst the Jax if you don't have mages. Ay.
Last game, you almost had me convinced this wasn't the VCS, and would you look at that? We're back to the VCS shenanigans. You can try to prim and proper, you can cut down on teams, you can do everything you want. There's nothing preventing you from making boneheaded plays. That's all the VCS is about sometimes. A dive onto Hosman now. It is immune sometimes though, so you got to be a little careful about this one. Nice ultimate. I think the
nice
W is
CC layering.
Great. Yeah. Guri's gonna hold tower aggro, but Hosman's still alive. Yeah, it took a minute there longer than they would have wanted. 2 members very low, but no response. So easy enough for the Vikings to walk away with that kill.
And I feel like they kind of they had to play around Nanoe in one of those games after abandoning him so many times. I mean, this first one is really good, right? It buys a lot of time. It gives Hasmet a
The second one I thought was funny too. I thought this was.
The second one is still kind of okay, honestly. But then now is where they overstep their welcome. My God, no! Think about the death timer.
Yeah, see, like, I don't hate the idea of it with Hugh, mostly because, like, if you're tracking the death timer and you cut that wave to start with, like, Gwen gets a collapse, gets a free back, and then is going to be out on the map faster, so if you want to go for, like, a dragon or something like that, like, she has much faster deploy to bottom lane that she can get back to top, but, like, it's just way over aggressive. I don't know who. I'm gonna take a wild shot in the dark and say Soundo was like, oh, we killed this guy, and like he was not paying attention, which is frustrating beyond comparison. Did get dragon, which is nice, but Vikings are up 2k at this point in the game.
Yeah, and that's a 4-1 Jax. That's not great.
Okay, but it's Nanoe's 4-1 Jax. I think there are more terrifying people that gold could be on. Maybe not champions, but definitely people.
That might be true. Let's see how he performs on the Jax. It was banned against him in one of the games for GAM, so they did respect him there. I don't really want to look at top lane at all, because I think this is going to be so miserable now from Hasmid. Look at the item discrepancy. There's almost a full Trinity Force against Boots. Oof.
Not ideal.
Yeah, it's not great.
Not ideal. Okay. Oh, that's 2 full plates from the combination of Void Grubs and Ziggs existing. So that's a pretty hefty chunk of gold that's going to be heading over to the Vikings bot lane now. It feels pretty good for Shogun. Do you remember when Shogun first pulled out Ziggs and we were like, man, Shogun's like one of the best team fighting ADCs, and why in the world would they put him on Ziggs? And then he like crushed on Ziggs. I think it was Artemis that he crushed on Ziggs too, and we are like, all right, never mind.
Playing this champion. I am a big Ziggs fanboy.
I love Ziggs. I love Ziggs in the bot. I don't hate the champion at all.
But I still feel like it doesn't really fulfill his potential. But let's see what he can do in team fights. Hasmid, come on, you have to land some of these ultimates. Come on, my guy.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, the only champion that drags me back to play the game is Gwen. Gwen's like the only champion I will queue up to play in normal Summoner's Rift anymore. So, she's awesome. But, yeah. I play her jungle mostly, though. I remember she used to be really good in the jungle, but like top lane, I just don't like playing top lane because people play ranged top laners, and nobody likes ranged top laners.
Or Jax.
Or Jax. Yeah, nobody likes Jax either. Yeah. There's a top lane like conundrum that's going to be popping up here because again we have Rel up here and we've got Void Grubs that are up a second time.
I think this is a smart swap because the Jax is going to put pressure on anyone, and they want the Void Grubs really to accelerate the mid game with the Ziggs, and then look at the platings in top lane as well.
Top tower, yeah. There's
Ziggs
nothing stopping him. Just take him.
He needs like one passive auto attack plus W, and the tower is probably down. Yep,
he is demolished. Yeah, there's nothing stopping him from taking that tower. Which, like, if you're Wales, you probably should have saw that coming and had to play ready for the other side of the map. But it seems like again they're playing incredibly hyper responsive rather than like trying to play proactive. So they should have been like, hey, Shogun is going to come to top lane. They will lane swap on us. They're going to want the Void Grubs. They have the Ziggs for like a 3-down tower plate tower. That was clear. I don't think there was anything dodging that. They were just slow on the reaction to that sort of play, when in reality they probably should have played to the other side, played to mid, done something somewhere else. Instead, Vikings walk away once again with Highway Robbery, up 3k, up the entire Void Grubs with a disgustingly powerful Ziggs at some point, and I don't know what you're supposed to do about it.
Yeah, and now they're back in bot lane. The Ziggs is just teleported there. This might be his death. He does a flash, though. Oh, nice dodge. It's Shogun after all. He doesn't even have to flash.
He's 4 levels on Hugh.
He's so freaking good.
Oh my goodness. That's an ultimate out from B to try to pull them in together to get more damage. That's Shogun. Should be able to clean up Hugh, but you're a little terrified of what's going to come through. Now you have
Kati's here.
Nano wants to get a little bit of something, hoping he can trade at least Shogun back. Nice ultimate is going to get him a double kill. And now Kati has to leave as well. So it is I think a 1 for 2 grand scheme of things. As Sounda is able to walk away with a second kill. And now they might even re-dive for a third because Dove is here with Sounda. That's a tough situation to find, and they're going to get Kati's flash at minimum.
That was pretty easy for Kati to outplay, but still his flash. That was a very decent result there from Team Wales. I think Shogun, on a traditional ADC, he might have been able to outplay there, but he just doesn't have the cooldowns to really retaliate against the Xin Zhao. This early in the game, an auto-attacking a melee champion that their sticking power is just really hard to get away from. Also, Hugh crucially hits level 6 here on his dying breath and gets an ultimate out that delays Shogun's escape even more. Look at this. Level 6, he gets the ultimate while he's dying, and he does hit Shogun on the tail end of the ultimate. I think Shogun could have gotten away if not for that Braum ultimate, so heroic effort from the side of the Braum. And Sounda walks away with 2 kills. Now, that's not great for the later stages of the game, but he does threaten Shogun now. If Shogun ever stays alone, overextends in the mid lane, Sounda can come in from the side, flash on him, and just execute him.
You also have a much more obvious ball delivery system because it's normally going to be Xin Zhao. It's not really going to be anybody else. But now that your ball delivery system has 3 kills, you feel a lot better about him jumping into the midst of the fight rather than just getting bullied out. It's going to be a decent start. Love the jump in from Huber there. That immediately scared off Nonaway, who has to get out of dodge as fast as possible or potentially die. For the advantage that he gained early in the game, he is down 30, now 40 CS. And honestly, if Gwen decided to stay around, Nonaway probably would have lost some more tower plates. He's going to have to burn the TP, which is ultimately, I think, a waste. And now bottom lane, Viking, I guess Dove decides to stay. Good ultimate. But
nice.
Now after the TP in from Hasmed is going to try to find Kati. I don't know what Kati's supposed to do. He has no flash. He's kind of doomed. His E is already down. Yeah, Hasmed just picks up 1. Now Guri's in a bad situation. Pay attention, Artemis, please. Turn towards... Okay, yeah, Artemis is going to be able to cut off Guri. Hugh Yeah, just fight Hugh. I mean, the best case scenario here is that Hugh is the one that gets the kill. You're going to get the stun off. Trying to give it to Dove. Dove's going to collect that one, so there's not much to be done there. As Vikings, again, on the dive, overstep. Dove's able to catch him off guard with a nice ultimate, and that could have gone much, much better. Vikings kind of fumbled the hell out of that play.
Vikings completely lost, once again, in the dive. The dives have really been their unmaking or their downfall in the series so far. Once again, way too over-aggressive, Dove. After this, you should respect him, right? He dodged all your spells. Why are you still trying to kill him? Then way too low. Hasmed comes in and instantly gets another kill for himself.
What is that E? He like used the E to kite backwards, side to side, instead of using it to go over the wall or something like that to try to dodge with Curry. I know it probably doesn't matter, but like it is one thing that I just lose a little bit. Nicely played by Hugh as well, just coming out from base and being able to get the stun, set that up for Dove so he can collect another kill. This is even in gold, even in dragons, the only thing you really got going for you on the side of Vikings, you got crazy pushing power, and you got like the double grubs, which is like, again, you leave Ziggs alone with a tower for just a little bit too long, and he's going to be able to take it. But aside from that, we're an even game state.
Yeah, this kind of game they actually lost against Gum. Now Gum, obviously, is much better than Wales, but it's a good sign for Wales. Last game at 14 minutes, Vikings was on 2 dragons and full grubs and pushing the advantage into the likes of 3-4k gold. So this is a much better early start. Now, they still have decent tools later on. They have Carty scaling up. They're going to try to dive Duff again. I'm not sure if this is the right play. Duff with a lot of wave clear.
Wow. Well layered. Decently executed. Doesn't do enough damage. Duff was able to flash out the backside of the fight. The Seraph shield is able to protect him. That's actually really good once again for Wales. Dove is able to pull so much pressure, doesn't get a summoner spell, but is able to open up topside, so Gwen is able to get a kill, and now Rift Herald in the mid lane is going to be able to help crack some of that as well. It wasn't low enough to actually get a tower, so I'm curious why they decided to go for that instead of putting it up top. But one way or another, Wales have found a way to creep back into this one.
Yeah, and I think Hasmed really showing his superiority in the top lane, especially when it comes to understanding waves and just playing the laning phase, extended laning phase. He was 1-4 down against Jax and has completely dominated him when it comes to the 1v1 matchup. Not in terms of kills, a solo kill attempt, but look at the CS discrepancy. It's still 40 CS. At 17 minutes, 40 CS? When your enemy top laner is 4-1, that is almost unheard of. He's a level ahead, almost 2 levels right now, so this Gwen performance from Hasmed, even though the stats don't look pretty, actually very impressive early on.
Yeah, and he's slowly going to be both a side lane threat, but also is incredible at team fighting. And if you think about, like, the way that the Vikings had set everything up, Gwen ends up being very valuable alongside, like, the Dot Varus, which, again, he's playing on hit, don't love it. But, again, of course, you're sitting with you've got a Rel, you've got a Sejuani, even, like, a Jax is going to be relatively tanky. So you don't really have, like, that huge bit of burst damage that you could use to chunk out to the damage dealers. But for the front line that's going to be buying them that space, they're going to get shredded through by the combination of this Varus and this Gwen. It's very, very simple for those two to try to work their way through. So the stronger that Hasmed gets, the stronger that Artemis gets, the harder the team fight is to execute at a masterclass level, because you have to be terrified of the two fronts, which is your tank shredders in those two, but then you also have this big burst damage out of the Orianna, which is delivered super easily by the very powerful Xin Zhao that's going to be hard to kill as the two members that are going to have to be outside of his bubble of protection. So honestly, like, I'm slowly coming around to the Wales composition. I didn't think they were going to be able to do it. It required Vikings making a lot of mistakes, but suddenly I'm kind of liking what they're gotten going on here.
Yeah, it's definitely looking promising. The Orianna, okay, that's huge burst on Carty. He falls instantly, but Artemis
comes in backside of the fight. We're going to see what he can do. Nanaway, just jumps out immediately. I would have thought he wanted to play a lot more aggressively there. I think he could have maybe collected, at least swept up 1 or 2 kills off the back of that TP, but the extra TP, I suppose, scared them off. And now Wales just have control of the map. Vikings can't really do much. They're going to push back out mid-wave. There's only 2 remaining here, so they have to be a little careful. That's going to be Nanaway coming back in. Stun is not going to be able to land. Now Hasmed's going to have an ult on the other side. Hasmed tries to help with Dove's ultimate, but now Hasmed gets stunned up, and that's going to be a bait. Oh, Dove. You just baited your own top laner to his own death. I thought that was going to be a cleanup of at least a kill or 2, but now Vikings still on the back foot. They lost a lot of health, lost a lot of cooldowns right there. Artemis is back with full health. Hugh's back with full health. They're going to be able to push back out mid lane. They should have control of the Dragon Pit. Well, they're at least going to be able to fight for control of the Dragon Pit, maybe. I don't know. Shogun is starting to get low on mana.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say the same thing. He actually bought it here for the first time in Pro. I've seen it. I think I can never understand how pro players can play this champion without tier, because like the mana costs on the queue on a 1 second cooldown are just insane. Here we go again. Kati just caught out. It doesn't use his flash. If it is available, it looks like it's available in the replay, but we can never be sure about that. But yeah, he loses his flash. He loses his life very early on. In the end, in the grand scheme of things, Team Wales actually doesn't really walk away with too much from this pick. They picked the enemy mid laner, but they didn't get the dragon.
I think they left a lot to be desired right here. This ultimate is actually really... at first I was like, okay, Dove's going to be able to do a lot with it. There were 3 members stacked a couple of times. It feels like Dove really mispositioned that ball just to try to put it on way. Okay, we got another ultimate coming through. Sound actually has already ulted. Now that's going to be gone.
Yeah, they secured the dragon already, so that was just an escape ultimate, an exit ultimate.
I was trying to figure out whether they were leaving the river or going into the river, and I'm glad they were leaving the river because I was about to get upset if they used that going in and then lost the dragon off the back of it. But yeah, fortunately, Wales did not have that happen. Again, the only real mounting pressure here, because these teams are trading blows, trading team fights really effectively. Again, the most terrifying thing is just Ziggs being able to push down your towers because of the Void Grubs, but like they haven't really had too much of an issue dealing with that quite yet. So until that starts to mount even more, Vikings don't really have a lot of teeth to be biting with, sorry. So this game might go to like 30-40 minutes. I feel like we're in for a long haul here.
It's a very slow affair so far, and both teams are also quite content with just scaling up, especially if you look at Kati. He's now 0-2 on the Smolder. Can't be at 225 yet with 185 CS. I don't think so. So he's going to need some more time. And look at his items, even more so than his stacks. They are far behind the curve he wants to be on. So doesn't even have his Muramana. Doesn't have anything approaching like late game status for this champion. So yeah, Vikings need to buy some more time.
See whether they're able to make that happen. Again, I'm not really worried about the Vikings' long-term prospects here. At absolute minimum, they can try to play more macro-oriented and get Ziggs into side lanes, take inner towers, sort of things like that, and kind of neutralize any sort of like gold gained through like team fighting or pickoffs or kills like that with map objectives, like standing gold that's going to be there for both teams. Do we get... Oh, at 191. Okay, I saw the count. I was trying to pay attention just to make sure that we would have that. So what is he, 34 away from actually getting like the ticket? They're only up 1 dragon on the side of Wales as well, so I think Kati feels fine. 3 minutes should be more than enough for him to be able to get that upgrade done and taken care of, especially if they force it for him. So by that point, what are we, 3 item Ziggs, 2 item Smolder. Smolder should be on full items at that point. I think they're feeling good to start being able to poke into some of the neutral objective areas without taking a full-on engagement and just poking away at them with some of the range.
Yeah, and I think Vikings are starting to get annoyed with not being able to break this mid lane tower. Because they've had Ziggs in here for like 15 minutes now, and he's constantly poking away, he's clearing the waves in an instant, but he just can't get time hitting the tower. He would kill the tower so quickly. One auto attack with his passive, maybe a few grubs, and then his W to execute. If he could ever just step up to hit the tower, it would be gone in a few seconds, but he just can't risk it right now. Maybe the next wave, assisted by the Sejuani, it looks like a little bit of an opening. Hopefully they can finally break through this barrier.
Not sure. It's difficult. Again, it's been just a stone wall from Artemis for about 10 minutes sitting in this mid wave. And he doesn't even have to be lethality to make that happen. He's got a wit's end done so that he doesn't take quite as much damage from the Ziggs as the waves kind of come crashing in, and if he doesn't dodge out on skill shots and things like that. So you have that going for you. Sound is here as well to try to put some additional pressure or try to, free up some of this mid lane pressure. Feels like we're inching ever closer to like an ARAM style game where we're just going to be fighting for each other's mid towers and nothing else, and neither one of them has fallen. So there is that to look forward to, I suppose, your way. But where do you go? I mean, does Wales win if they end up going to like 4 or 5 dragons? Like if you end up getting Vikings to the point where you have this fully upgraded Smolder, now 2 items, now closer probably to that 225 stack mark. Do you feel like at that point Team Wales is just out of it?
In my opinion, Wales has the advantage in 5v5 team fights. It's easier to execute their composition. They have Orianna Xinjiao. They have late game Gwen in team fights. She's already level 14, and we know how much of a menace this champion can be on just 3 items, and she's only gonna get more. So
yeah,
I feel like in full-on 5v5 team fights, I would give the edge to Wales. But then again, there's Smolder's Ziggs poke to just slowly but surely chip away at the enemies. Let's see how this 1-on-1 goes.
Good action. Yeah, Hausman has the ultimate popped. It's not going to be able to clean up the entirety of Nanaue, but Nanaue at least made it relatively close. I mean, it wasn't like Hausman just destroyed 90% of his health bar and was able to kill him like on a whim. That was at least a 50-50 with ultimates burnt on both sides. No ignite burnt for Hausman is one big thing about that one. So I think the Jax advantage is now long gone. No magic resistance really to speak of, and so Nanaue probably not feeling the best at side laning up against this Gwen anymore.
Yeah, no heal reduction either, so it just looks like Hausman is going to be able to drain tank his way through any confrontation between the two. Okay, Q lands on Artemis, surprisingly little damage, only about 250, 300. Yeah, we need some more poke from the side of Vikings to land, especially from Shogun. Oh, there's an engage from Sound, a little bit ill-advised. He's down to 30% HP.
Yeah. Yeah, not much health remaining. Sounded, I don't think is too worried. Again, your Xin Zhao, if you can find even a camp or just go after the dragon, should be able to heal up with relative ease. Mid lane is pushed out sufficiently. Both teams can kind of respond into the river. Both top laners up to the top side of the map both have their TP. What seems like a setup here where Wales wants the dragon, but slowly Vikings are creeping in, and this is what we were talking about. We want this poke. Dove takes half the health bar, is gone. No ultimate from Ziggs anymore, as that Mega Inferno Bomb has been burnt now. Nanaue getting into another engagement. We were just talking about how he didn't kill him. Well, that time, without the ability to ult, or with the ability to ult, you're going to go down. TPs on both sides. It's going to be difficult to respond.
Oh, the steal!
Rolling away Dragon. Now the fight afterwards, can you actually get anything? Artemis can't really step up. So Guri in a pretty rough position, but now Kadi wants to find people on the backside of this one. Guri, Kadi's going to be able to respond to Sound, as we knew that was maybe going to be the case. B wants to try to maybe turn. Nanaue is going to be here. It's going to be a cleanup from Nanaue to be able to get one now. Big ultimate from B, trying to help out Artemis, but Artemis is just too strong, but he doesn't want to go any more forward. It's a lot of members.
Going? Oh, if they delay Husmut's death, they could go into Baron. This is a huge point in the game. If they can find Husmut and just delay his death a little bit, chase him around the map, they might be able to go into Baron afterwards. Nanaue has found him.
Okay.
And he's going to be able to kill him as well, I believe. Husmut not quite healthy enough to fight back, or is he?
Okay, we're getting a lot, but it's not going to be too much. Like you said, hunting him down, doing well. The one fear there was that like Vikings were actually quite low across the board. Nanaue was basically the only member capable of fighting. This was a very sloppy fight. Sounda went down like relatively easily. Guri was able to grab the dragon. That was kind of the priority from the Vikings, and then they wanted to walk out. You can see Shogun and Kadi really weren't in position. Artemis also was out the back of this fight most of the time as well. So again, the carries aren't really interacting with each other. It's more or less kind of fighting frontliners, and you can see what that meant, because B got destroyed by Artemis here. Look at this, he's just gone. Shogun can't really follow up. There's not really much else elsewhere. Even Nanaue, I don't think would live that. But again, if the carries aren't interacting with each other, I think Vikings just win that because they've got more poke.
Sounder's coming though. Sounder wants to contest this Baron.
Yeah.
He does hit the W, but it's too late.
Yeah, can't do anything about it. Now Kadi's in a little bit of danger. Great ultimate from Dove. They're gonna find Kadi. That's at least one. So get something for their troubles, but of course Vikings now with a Baron buff, with a Ziggs, and with Void Grubs. I mean, how are you supposed to do anything? Feels like Wales might even want to just force a fight here as fast as possible, because you don't want to give them the pushing power. You don't want to give them the ability to fight back in any capacity.
Pushing into the Baron and Shogun's Ziggs is not easy, but Shogun once again low on mana, spamming and clearing all those waves. It does cost quite a bit of mana, but the blue buff has spawned, so global blue buff is going to help him. He's done 3.5 items now. He's quite strong. He's going to cause some trouble for Sounder, trying to engage through his minefield, and he's probably going to lose about 30%, 40% HP just going through that one spell. This is really nicely done. Great turn. And perfect ultimate from Guri. No way. Sounder could have tried to flash, honestly. He could have flash eat onto the Baron and tried to steal. But that's a big commitment. If it doesn't work out, then you lose your flash and probably your life. So, understandable. I think I would have still liked to see it, though.
And we now have Vikings game plan yet again. And they have not.
Now they've Baron.
Now they're setting up. Yeah, now they want the pushing time. Now they're going to walk in and they're going to. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Okay. Nanaue in a weird situation. Going to get pulled in by Dove. Now Hosmed going to try to clean up this one. Let's see if they can actually get him before he turns one back. He almost does, but Dove is not going to die instead. Hosmed's going to be able to pull that kill. So they do relieve a little bit of the pressure that was starting to mount on the bottom side of the map. The mid lane they already knew was going to get pushed down. There's nothing they can do to stop that one. So they trade that mid lane tower for the life of Nanoe. Now no side lane pressure to worry about. And that should probably spell the end of the Baron, if I had to guess.
A little bit of a strange build here for Nanoe, opting to go for a little bit more teamfight focus, I'd say, with the Frozen Heart. I would have liked to see a little bit of sustain, because I think he can win these 1v1s against an auto-attack focus champ like Gwen, if he's able to sustain a little bit more. So I would have liked to see... I mean, he does have the, whatever it's called, Sundering Sky, which does give him a little bit of sustain, but I think I would have still liked to see... I don't know, Death Dance or something akin to that, to get a little bit more HP back, to make him stronger in the 1v1 matchup. Now he's very much focused on diving into the backline, trying to get on top of Artemis, and cutting away at his attack speed there. So yeah, more of a team fighting Jax, so he's probably going to go into more HP to become a pseudo-tank later on in the game.
Yeah. And now, I mean, game's broken up in quite a bit more for the Vikings, so looking quite a bit better. A lot of this advantage, if I had to guess, is actually sitting in Shogun's pockets, because Shogun is about an entire item ahead of Artemis, and they're up about 4,000 gold. So I'd say like 2,000, maybe 2,500 of that is probably just Shogun on his lonesome. So you have to consider that. We haven't really seen Sounda connect very well with Dove. Dove has had a really bad tendency, or maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I don't know. He's had a tendency this game to basically just find single members of the side of Vikings and ult them so that they can try to get a pick-off instead of saving it for big moments inside of teamfights. And I still feel like the best way to try to challenge the positioning of Shogun and even Kadi is going to be with that kind of strategy. Hugh going to try to bounce away. They're not going to have enough damage to be able to come back in. TP's in from both sides. Ultimate comes through from Hugh to try to deny any additional access. Now Hosmet on the front line. Good ultimate from Dove down by B, but he only gets the one. And now big ultimate from Hosmet's going to tag a ton of members of this one, but he's going to go down to the damage from Kadi, who you can't really do much about that one. Now Sounda on the front line trying to help out as well. Ultimate's going to wear off.
Where did it come from? The game just exploded out of nowhere, Rebel. I don't know. I'm completely lost for words. Why? Why does...
I guess it was a team fight that got forced by whales. I think they were trying to defend the dragon. I don't really know what just happened.
Yeah, we need to replay here to actually understand what was happening.
I would love to see what happened. Okay, Shogun's just going to crack another tower. I mean, you can't do anything when there's no one on the map. That's the thing. You can't be taking fights like this. Now Sounda wants more. He's going to take this challenge.
Doesn't get any damage.
That's going to be B coming through here. Good ultimate coming through from Shogun to help support his team. Now Nanoe, you're not doing damage because he's just dodging the entire time, and there's nothing you can do. Now Kadi's picked up like 4 kills in the last few minutes, and just like that, suddenly the Smolder is going to get way more powerful. That just ruined the game.
Yeah, honestly, the game was just lost in that one sequence. Why? So B shows himself, so they are perfectly aware that the enemy team is here. They know they just cleared your vision, so they're probably there with a few people. And I guess Wales just thought they had the means to fight them here. I mean, to be honest, Vikings starts off burning everything into Hugh's shield, and it does look a little bit dicey, but this kind of terrain is just not for them to fight. Yeah, this is just way too over-aggressive. Hosmet goes in alone. He's not tanky enough to do this. And Kati, look at how comfortable he is from the other side. In the meantime, he just turns to the dragon and starts fighting the dragon, because why not? So this was a huge, huge misread of the situation. They had no way of actually winning in that tight spot there. And now the game seems pretty much out of control.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
What was painful about that situation, it felt like there was a 3-man Orianna ultimate that just got left on the board. It was like Dove was like a second too late pulling the trigger on trying to figure out whether they were fighting or not, and as a result, it went from like a 3-person ultimate that could have been followed up on by Gwen and all the AoE from her ultimate and her Q, to it tagged B, and like that was it. And so it's... it was sickening to me. I don't know whether it was a call problem, a communication problem. I don't know whether it was just a little bit too slow on Dove's part, but that was like the exact reason you draft an Orianna, is you draft for moments like that where you hit 3 members and compound extra damage on top of them. Because like you had said, it was a winning situation for Whale. They just burnt everything they had into a shield from Hugh, and if they lose 3 members, the game completely shifts state. I mean, it's completely Wales favored from that point on. But again, one missed
opportunity. Time. Oh no, that's low HP already.
Coming in, blocked by Huber. B into the backline as well, going to pull Huber. Huber is going to die. Now B's actually super low. Nanoe diving into the backline to try to get the damage dealers here from the side of Team Wales. Hosmet is able to get at least 1 back. So it's a trade, but Sounder goes back in, I'm not sure why, and just like that, the game is all but over. You'll wait 3 more kills. Kadi has finally scaled it. He's getting way too powerful in the smolder to deal with.
Yeah, and it took such a long time. This game actually looked like they finally stopped Carty's AD carry prowess. They finally put him down. He was way behind his item curve, and suddenly he gets 7 kills in the matter of like 3 or 4 minutes. And yeah, he's fully late game smolder. I think he's close to 400 stacks now. So this almost seems insurmountable for Team Wales, but they have to find a way. They're already down a game. They've lost the last 4 games against Vikings. They need to win this one for their morale at least. I mean, they still have a chance to reverse sweep, but if you're 5 games down against the enemy team, I'm not sure how much you can do to come back.
Yeah, it would be something else. It would be like a Herculean task to try to get past Vikings at this point if you're Wales. It feels like also the thing that's going to destroy you isn't even the fact that it was 5 games. It was that you had the best chance that I have seen in any of these games to try to actually turn this one around. You saw this started off with Dove kind of getting stopped. Huber's been playing really good Braum. Like, Braum has turned off angles for entire teams. That he soaks so much damage. Soundo's on the front line. He's with Hosmed. Hosmed, unfortunately, is just in the face of the 2 damage dealers. The other side, Nonaway actually played really well. He shoved Dove and Artemis out of the fight. And again, that's all of your damage. If they can't step forward because of the diving jacks, what are you supposed to do? Like, how do you actually win a game? You can't be done.
Yeah, they're trying to do the same thing, right? Nanahuer and Hosmed, both just diving on top of the enemy AD carries, but the problem is Hosmed has an E. So, not Nanahuer can just press E, and for 2 seconds, Artemis can't damage him, while Hosmed just can't do the same. He can't buy enough time for a team to win the other side of the map. I'm a little bit confused as to why he didn't go for Zhonya's in this game. If he wants to play this aggressively, I think Zhonya's is a must-buy. It's too late now, and they have to find a way to somehow find the angle to win this game.
Nonaway looking for something. Great ultimate from Hugh is going to stop him in his tracks. Only gets the 1 stun. Great E from Huber as well, and Nonaway's probably going to die. Does he get anything? No. Now Artemis has to step up into the pocket to be able to do damage. Has to get past the Ziggs bombs. They're not going to, as the team fight's going to fall away. Hubert, that was an MVP performance fight from him. I know it's not going to mean much in the grand scheme of things. They're still down 10,000 gold. He was a king in that fight.
Yeah, and Mom has not gotten a single bit of ultimate damage onto anyone because Hugh just has a shield up every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
look at this again, but I want to talk about the end of the fight because this is almost the perfect scenario. They stop Nanoway in his tracks. Perfect timing there from Hugh. He denies everything.
Right live. Okay, they're looking for Dragon. Fine. They're going to get shoved out. Kadi is pushed out the top side of the fight. Guri.
Did Artemis, they go too far? They went too far. No.
Yeah, might have gone just a little bit too far. Grid ultimate from Artemis. Gonna be able to find a ton of damage onto Guri. Actually feeling great about that one. Going into the back line, tries to find Gotti, but he's gonna be in Zonia's. And Kadi has to flash just to avoid the arrow, but is gonna get him away. Now they're hoping to get
alive again. He's walking down.
The dragon. That's all we need here. No! They smote, and it went down to 9 health. Oh, you'll away. Oh, it feels so bad.
Well, you can't blame them for not trying. They are trying their damnedest. They really try to get back into this game here, but this is probably the final nail in the coffin. This is now so much extra HP to work with, especially for the likes of Sejuani and Jax. We're just going to be that much more tanky now in the backline.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're already streaming down the lanes, and they're trying to get into the enemy base. And remember, they have Ziggs, so 2 seconds of time hitting the tower, and the tower is going to be gone. But Shogun is a little low, so for now, the push is halted.
Yeah, not to mention, you still have this massive problem. Artemis is actually an animal in this game. He's so ridiculously strong. He just cannot step up in any circumstance at all. And as a result, these fights feel so ridiculously one-sided. When Artemis can hit targets, the fights are even, it feels fine. But there's the issue that's set up in this is Wales in every single team fight. It feels like Dove's ultimate is not getting anything done. There's never been an ultimate I've seen from Dove in this game that has actually accomplished something that they wanted to, when really they just need to put the ball on Sounda or Gwen, get him into the back line, get him on top of Kadi or Shogun, and then press the ultimate. And if they can do that, I would expect them to be able to full burst one of those characters before, anything else happens, but we haven't seen it, I think, even a single time in this game. And as a result, I mean, what are you supposed to do if you're Artemis or, anybody else as a damage dealer? Because everybody's getting shredded. If Kadi's just able to free fire in you, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and one of the biggest... Oh, no time for that. Sounder once again on the engaged path, on the war path, but it seems like...
Okay. Maybe something. No, okay. Ultimate from Sejuani, gonna stop another, but Huber again with this big door. She's able to do quite a bit here. You can actually shred Guri. Stun is available. They are gonna stun him, but it's not gonna mean anything. Somebody's gonna go back in the history books and look back on this game as like one of the goated Braum performances of all time.
Once again, he's
playing his ass off to keep these people alive.
Yeah, he's not very successful, unfortunately. 19 kills for Vikings. And I wanted to go back to the Varus point, because the Varus deals insane damage, and usually Varus is really, really good at killing tanks. Unfortunately, the enemy team has the one champion that can just turn off his damage output for 2.5 seconds. But now he also has the Zhonya's, or at least the Arm Guard, so he can just go into stasis, wait for his E to come back up, and do it again. Now he's caught, though.
Nanaway. Can't get the stun off onto the right target. Now Nanaway is going to just be dead. B is now the target of Artemis. He's going to be able to clean up another. Has to not go through the mines here. You're terrified. Great ultimate from Artemis to be able to stop up Guri. Now Guri has to flash away and make sure he doesn't get stunned up. Great play from Sounder to try to disrupt the damage so that Artemis gets a little bit more time trying to play up against Guri. I don't think No! Oh, they tried. They really did. That was the first fight I thought they might have had even a slight chance because Artemis could hit people, but unfortunately, Kadi has scaled to oblivion. And just like that, 40 minutes, Yolway. 40 minutes. We would have expected the whole series to be done by now, but Vikings do end up getting it done.
It's definitely a big step up for Vikings, for Wales, I should say. The first time they made it past 40 minutes against Vikings and players, they still walk away as the losers here, and they're now facing elimination. They are one game away from being eliminated from players, obviously, and once again falling 0-3 to the likes of Vikings, but still a great performance. I think we definitely have to go back to the draft because it was so different, and let's call in our Italian analyst and see what the PhD makes of this game. So, you predicted Wales. I think you have to justify yourself, Clockwork.
Okay, so in this case, PhD stands for pretty huge disappointment because, right until the mid game, Wales was doing very well, right? But then they slowed down at some point. They stopped. Like, even if they had a composition that allowed them to look for team fights, look for picks, even just take one kill, go to an objective, they never did that. They were never ever been able to snowball any of the small leads that they got. And then at some point, it was too late because you're playing against the Jacks, you're playing against the Smolder. They are going to scale better than you. And even if you have a proper composition that works very well for what you want to do, if you're not pushing your advantage, nothing's going to come out of it. Yes, they dragged it on for way longer than any of their previous matches, but you can't drag it on against a dragon.
I don't even know how to deal with this anymore, but yeah, well played. Let's look at the damage set. Champion is a little ridiculous.
How about Gwen in this game, though?
Yep, 44k. I mean, she was in most of the fights. She was the only one actually dealing damage because everyone else was just running away.
Insanely true.
This is the weirdest MVP pick.
We're giving MVP to Nanaway? Is that true?
Yeah, I have no idea. He actually played quite bad for his early lead, I believe. So, I don't agree with this one.
I think the idea is that, if you look at this game from top to bottom, the main threat and the thing that really prevented Wales from getting their feet set and fighting against the front line, against the Sejuani and the Rel, was Jax jumping on top of Artemis every single fight, which is just true. And why did he do that? Because there was no threat of Dove ever hitting an ultimate. I'm so critical of Dove this game, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it. The Orianna ultimates were killing me over this. I swear the multiple times I saw 3-4 person ultimates that just went completely to waste. But I will give Nanaway his presence. I don't know that he deserved an MVP for it, because I think it was more a byproduct of the champion. But the fact that he was able to keep Artemis from touching anyone over the course of fights, and then Smolder could just rip through Xin Zhao, rip through Gwen, rip through anybody who's there, it's what got him his snowball going in the first place. The first 7 kills were basically just on the premise of there's 2 melee champions on both sides meeting, but Artemis can't step up to do damage, but Smolder can't. So Smolder just gets all the kills and wins. So I don't know.
I want to come back to your Dove point and throw it over to Clockwork because you talked about him a lot as well. And yeah, we've seen now 2 games. The first game he played in ADC, it didn't really go his way. Now he went back to one of his more comfortable champions, one of the champions he's known for, one of his control mages. But obviously, Orianna is not really. I mean, she's on the fringes of the meta, maybe, but not really a hugely played champion across the globe. And she didn't look. He didn't look great on her. So, Clockwork game number 3. Your Team Wales coach. You have to wake up the sleeping giants. And what exactly are you going to pick for your mid laner who's struggling in the series?
Right. I would go for something that is very easy to execute. Okay. Rebel suggested earlier the something like the LeBlanc and something like that. I would go for something even easier because here it was very clear that there was some element missing of coordination. Dove did not really cooperate with his teammates in order to ult, even if it was really easy with Sanda. He has one teammate, at least one teammate that he shares a language with, and it was very easy to set up an ultimate combo with the Xin Zhao, but it never happened. So take something even easier or something that can play at least on his own to some extent. I'm thinking about a Yone. If they really want to dip their toes into the actual meta and go with a with the AP jungler, or if you really are determined to stick with the mages, take something that can hold a sideline. I don't know. I'm thinking about Syndra's. I'm thinking about stuff like even the Karma that Wales have already played that they can flex them, like something independent that has very low execution threshold.
Yep. Let's see what they can do with the next game because there's still 1 game left at least in Wales. Hopefully, a few more for us. But they are on elimination point, and we are going to take a short break to see if Wales can cook up anything in game number 3 to fight back against the Vikings.
Hey you, how's the world look from way up there? I miss you, but I'm getting scared. 'Cause you used to be glued to me so perfectly, filling all the in-betweens. Now there's nothing there. How am I supposed to be yours when I can't see your face? How am I supposed to not miss you with all of this space? 'Cause you say you need me there someday, but how am I supposed to be close to you now? Worlds away.
welcome back. After game number 2, Team Wales desperately needs something to change. They tried two very different approaches here. They still haven't won a game against Vikings in playoffs, and they need to win 3 in a row now. Welcome back, everyone, to game number 3. It's elimination time. If Wales loses one more game, they're out of playoffs, they're out of World's contention, and they're all out of automatically qualifying for APAC contention, because the winner of VCS, of course, gets their automatic spot into the big South Asian conglomerate league, whatever you want to call it. So, what do we think here? How can Wales make it back? How can they finally break through this Vikings barrage they haven't found an answer to?
Okay, I'm gonna pick up right where I left before the break. There are actually champions that Dove can play independently. I'm gonna add to the list the Ari and the Azir. Those are great champions. The Azir, even better if they want to try and do something more along the scaling lines. But they need to make sure, like beyond picking what works for themselves, they also need to make sure that they need to force the Vikings not to play scaling as well. You can't default to scaling and let Smolder by. So yeah, that's one of the thing. And the rest, I think, like compared to game 1, they already adapted a good deal in game 2. So I'm already happy with that. Of course, it was not enough, but like one step at a time. And now it's the last step, so you have to do something.
And we focus very much on the Wales side, but Rebel, I actually want to look at the picks and bans for Vikings here, because I thought the Viking strategy was so different from before. Okay, we've seen these champions before in their hands, but they didn't pick Ezreal even though it was open. They didn't go for an AP jungler early on, and Brand was available, and he looked quite strong last game. So I was a little confused. Okay, they still won the game, but it did look a little bit more shaky. So personally, I think they should go back. What do you think?
Okay. Bottom lane was safe damage. It was Ezreal and it was Ziggs. Mid lane was a scaling champion. It was the Smolder, so it wasn't much different than what we had. I think the biggest thing is that previously we had double carries in the jungle, so that helped kind of accelerate things quite a bit. And then Jax up in the top side, ended up doing a lot better, but it wasn't like winning at the beginning of the game, or it was winning at the game. Sorry, it was winning at the beginning of the game, so that helped. But like Nodaway is not somebody that I would trust with a gold lead after seeing what he did on the Jags. He didn't play very well, so I don't think it was like a super far cry from what they're typically playing. It's just that the jungle positions were a lot more kind of quiet and like reserved. And so Guri is playing incredibly good. He's played well all season. He's probably up there for like MVP candidates in terms of both the team and then also for just like the league in general. He's probably one of the more praised players that I think you could go after. And so putting him on Sejuani wasn't like criminal. He's a great Sejuani player. I think he's undefeated on it this season. But that being said, if he's got this big of a gap over Sounda, don't force him to play like a tank into a fighter or something like that. Give him something that he can bully this chump on and let us take the 3-0 really quick. If I'm Vikings, don't kneecap yourselves. Give everybody a skill-based champion and let them hands check.
And Wales lost the game, so they have another side selection. Personally, I would stay on blue side because I think their chances were much better here on game number 2 compared to game number 1. If they go to blue side again, Clockwork, we are only seconds away from draft probably, but very quickly, what do you think are their priorities? What kind of champion do they first pick here?
Okay, so they always take something for Artemis. I don't think they're going to change that. But in that case, I would go for something more aggressive in the early game. Something like the Kalista, something like the Ashe, that they can either threaten in the 2v2 in lane or play poke and be useful even if there's some long range poke in the enemy team. So something like these champions that Artemis can play to great proficiency, I think they should be a good start from, and they provide also both initiation and disengage. So start from these, they work for their team, so it's a good start, I think.
Yeah, I'm especially interested in the jungle position, I have to say. Jungle may be the most flexible right now in the current meta. We see the likes of Zyra, Lilia, Nidalee, Brand, but then we also see some Vi, some Sejuani, even Ivern here and there, so a lot of different styles. Rebel, which kind of style do you want to see for Sounder and his team?
For Sounda, I mean, put him in Ivor in jail for real, for real. Like, get this guy off of something that he can use his hands on.
Yeah, Ivan is so much fun to play. I'm not sure what you're talking there, but jail. It's an amazing champion.
It's not jail because it's suffering. It's jail because he's not allowed out of the Ivor, and that's the problem
I see.
here. He's not allowed to do anything but play Ivor. He even plays Sejuani. He has, I think Sejuani is one of his more played champions, not just in VCS. I don't know if it's in VCS, but I know in his career he's a Sejuani player. I know he plays Maokai. I know he plays some of that. Give him something like that he have a lot more team fighting impact and doesn't have to have a bunch of like really crazy agency. That way he doesn't have to play like crazy. The other thing is they're putting a lot of focus into Dove doing a bunch of damage. Give it to Hosmet. Again, we talk about Vayne top lane. That's the concept, right? If the concept is Vayne top lane and being a primary carry.
So let's see if they're doing it. There we are. That's the draft. And Team Wales did indeed stay on blue side. They're banning away the bread and butter champions there, especially the Zyra and Leona. And on the other side, we once again start with the same bans for the side of Vikings.
Ooh! They subbed out their support.
Oh, they did indeed.
They subbed out Hugh?
After that game? Yeah, that's criminal. That is criminal.
You're
not serious, bro.
Pretty huge disappointment there.
Dude, if Team Wales has no haters, I'm dead, bro. What?
Okay, no, actually, my theory is that Hugh kicked himself. It's like, I cannot do anything more than that for you, so I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, it was one of those. Oh! Yes! Let's go! We get another Shyvana game. This time it's not Levi. It's, of course, one of his most played champions. Yeah. But this time it's Guri Shyvana, and I want to see a full AP. Come on, Guri. You know you can win anyway. Don't go for the boring off-tank build. Go full AP. I want to see it again.
And I want to point out that actually Wales opened the draft with Maokai, which is of course like still a meta champion, and they banned Ashe, so they are cooking something for Artemis. I hope maybe they want to try and give him a counter pick or something like that, which is pretty unusual since they always save their counter picks for Hosmet. But I like what they're trying to do here. Now Zeri, for example, can be a flex. I don't think she's going to be played AD carry. Maybe it's for Dove.
As I recall, Artemis was not the best Zeri player of all time because he had a tendency to slide into the enemy team and die. Is that right?
Even the best.
I think you're right. Yeah, he was never the best Zeri in the league, which you can definitely say about some of the champions. So this is a weird one. The Poppy very good into Rel, of course. So probably just a Rel support counter pick from the looks of it.
Okay. And we still need a Lee Sin and what's another good one for the dragon composition. We got Smolder, we got Shyvana, we need dragons.
Aurelion Sol, how can you forget
Aurelion Sol and Lee Sin, okay, I dig it. That's fine with me.
I think that's also Dragon Pantheon or something, or is he a Dragon Killer?
He's Dragon Slayer.
Oh yeah, maybe that's not the best.
I'm thinking about Dragon's Rage Kick, which is pretty consistent, so... But honestly, I'm not hating what I'm seeing from Wales here so far. Zeri is a champion that has, I think, quite a bit of an easier time with the mobility. Hopefully Artemis can not jump into the entire enemy team and die immediately. But he has a lot of forward fighting space with both Maokai and Poppy to be able to deny Guri access to a bunch, Kadi access to a little bit of the mobility, and then obviously Shyvana from jumping in. So if it's not AP Shyvana like you want it to be, which would be cool to watch, if it's like the Hex Plate, which is, I think, super strong on Shyvana, then actually I think Poppy's a perfect pick to deny that.
Actually, I don't think Poppy can deny the jump.
What?
It's unstoppable as far as I know.
What?
Yeah, I don't think Poppy can stop Shyvana ultimate. So that's definitely not what they're trying to do here. It's another Corki hub. This could actually be bot lane either, actually. That could be bot lane Smolder or bot lane Corki. Both are possible.
That'd be fire.
Yeah. I want to point out that Vikings pinched Artemis pool. They really think that the Zeri is going to be mid lane. Indeed, they picked Zaya. That's great. They have, again, like before, they have this kind of death ball composition that can very well disengage as well. Now, disengaging is not going to be enough because the enemy team has poke shield.
Okay. Let me stop you here. Sorry.
Okay.
What is better than 2 ADCs?
3 ADCs.
Let's
Three
go.
Bring up the meme. I want them to see
Absolute cinema.
the meme. And then the Malphite instant pick.
Nanaue is ready. Okay, yeah.
What?
You want to play
They have this
Udyr
problem.
into Vayne?
That's a wild choice. That's a wild choice.
He wants to suffer. He wants to suffer the whole game.
I guess he does. Okay. Now, alternatively, you play Lethality Udyr, and you hit any one of these ADCs, and they die instantly. They lose like 80% of their health off of an enhanced Q, which is hilarious if you've ever seen it happen. It's literally the fastest you can kill a champion in the game is Lethality double Q Udyr. But will it happen? No, he can't get close to them, but it is funny.
So, a lot of curveballs here. The last big Udyr, I think we have to talk and think about quite a bit more. But first, Clockwork, you have the stage. Take your time. What is going to happen in game number 3?
I think it's going to be very frustrating for Wales to play. Even if I like the concept as a whole, 3 marksmen that are very short range. I'm gonna take a book out of Yulway's page, and here Wales massively lack range in order to put the damage down. They have the Zaya, they have the Vayne and the Zeri. They're not really easy to get close to Corki, Poke Shyvana, and what was the other? Smolder. The fights are going to be so hard for them. I think even if they play really well, by the time Smolder comes online, this is going to be a 0-3.
Well, there we have it. All the faith in the Wales is gone. I guess they're still asleep on the water. But let's see what actually happens in the game. I am very intrigued. I love Hasmid Vayne. Maybe the most iconic champion for a whole era of the VCS. We even saw it in international play. So hopefully he can cook something up. I am flabbergasted by this R5 pick. Why would you ever pick a champion with no...
I don't know. There's like no reason to pick it. This had to be an ego pick if I've ever seen one in my entire life. Nanaue is ego picking. I don't know how that's humanly possible.
I'm completely lost on this one. Maybe an Udyr pro can explain to me how in the world Udyr is ever going to touch and use his grasp against...
Oh my goodness.
Vayne?
And look, it's not even like, it's not AP Shyvana because I don't think she takes that. I think you typically go the press the attack, but I don't know why she went fleet. Do you know why she went fleet?
Yeah, Levi went fleet as well. It's just
Okay.
more
Just
consistent,
for like
I guess.
clearing and
Yeah.
health or something like
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
All right, that's fine. She used to be like a crazy duelist because like if you hit someone with your E, they don't beat you. You just auto them to death because there's nothing they can do about it. So I don't know. Maybe that's much different than it used to be, but who knows? But I would have thought that having a siege mage, somebody who can throw something that pops for 800 damage on like a 5-second cooldown, would have been much more valuable in a triple ADC. But again, I'm not the player. Oh, it's a full lane swap.
This makes sense. Yeah.
Now I understand. Yeah. So like Udyr with the Phoenix stance, I think is much easier to clear waves with than like anything else. Ooh, bully him. Yeah. Bully him. Yeah. Get run at. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Flash. Second one in the
nice
game.
dodge from Hasmid. And he gets
Nice.
the kill.
Okay, that's a good start. I was moving here, but I didn't think there was actually going to be anything that popped out here. Now B's even going to get run at here if you're not careful. Dove and Kata, you've been trading blows since the beginning of the laning phase as well, but Hasmid on the lane swap getting a kill is massive.
Yeah, this kill actually is going to bring him very close to level 2, which makes the dive into the Vayne, who still has a flash. Very, very hard to do. Also, the enemy jungler literally died, so he's very far away from the top lane. Great start. On the other side, though, this dive looks a bit sketchy.
I mean, they get 1-for-1, which isn't ideal, but it is another kill for Artemis. A lot of minions that are going to be dead, especially if Artemis gets the pull and the feathers end up getting a fair amount of this. Nanaue already back. That's how fast. We're like less than 2 minutes into the game. I forgot that you could just come back lane immediately.
The next E is gonna hurt, but it's a long cooldown this early in the game, so yeah, it's not gonna come out. Nanaue, he gets experience, he gets some minions. He's probably actually ahead in gold now compared to Hasmid. This one stutter step from Hasmid to dodge, I think, the Rel engage was really beautiful, showing his prowess on this champion. Look at this.
Yeah.
That's some exquisite dodging.
Top tier mechanics, beyond all things. Something I didn't actually pay attention to. This is a Poppy support,
Yep.
I guess I didn't put that together. He's got Halo Blades. Like, it's not the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life, but that is not a common.
That's Mickey X. That's Mickey X MSI style. He went with this all the time and he terrorized people. So it's definitely better when the lanes are not lane swap, because now he's looking at an aggressive rune choice and he's hitting towers. He's hitting a tower, so it's not great. What?
Aren't the cooldown beads like criminally like underpowered when you buy them? Why does Shogun have 2 of them in his inventory right now? Are they like horribly gold inefficient?
I don't actually know, but yeah, it does look a little weird. I guess he just wants as many Qs as possible. And no early tier is very confusing.
This is the craziest game I think I've seen in a long time. I haven't watched a bunch of League, but this is making me cry. I don't understand.
He doesn't have a tier, but he has 2 cooldown things, and his mana bar is suffering. So let's see how long he can keep it up. Once again, not a Doran's Ring start, which is a little surprising every time I see it, because it's so strong. It gives you so much sustained farming power.
Yeah.
And now let's have a look at this amazing matchup, the counter pick Udyr dealing with the Vayne.
Crazy how that works. Nanoe he wants to farm and then he can't. Although honestly, Hosmer's not doing a great job at out farming him so far, so it's not been the best thing in the entire world.
That's true. Yeah, he even gave the
cannon.
He gave him access to the cannon. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have thought he was going to E him away from it. That's what I would have done, but then I probably died to the ensuing Shyvana gank afterwards. So
the problem is also E costs like half your mana. It's so insanely mana intensive.
Worth it just for the mental damage against a melee champion.
I would have done too, but yeah, it's probably better not to.
Okay, and that's very easy kill. I was gonna start talking, and then I'm like, he's just dead. What am I supposed to say? Poppy jumped in, hit him with 3 autos, and then he was gone. Halo Blade's crazy. Yeah.
Poppy, I think Poppy W actually does disable the flap.
Mm-hmm.
Does it?
I see. If I were to guess between that and Shyvana Ultimate, which one it would stop? Shyvana Ultimate would be my guess, but flap, because flap's like running, right? You're not actually like...
Yeah, that's true. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, Shyvana Ultimate definitely is unstoppable, so that is not the purpose of this Poppy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this engage was super easy. There's nothing for him to do. Perfect E. Artemis just sets it up, and Shogun knows flashing doesn't even do anything for him here, so he just keeps the flash.
You know what's funny? He held the E
until
after the W, which either means
it
either means it does stop it or he thinks it stops it, and those are basically the same thing, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we need to study the game to see what is actually true. Because thinking about it doesn't really make sense. Why would it stop it? But then again, it does fly over walls, so maybe that's why it's coded like it could. If one of the viewers knows, let us know.
Feel free to let us know.
Exactly.
Or look it up or something. I don't care. You can look smart on stream for a short amount of time, because we obviously, I don't pay enough attention to know, but maybe that's the reason Hubert came in as well. That's an ultimate from Guri, he's going to hit his empowered E, but Seulong is going to be able to get out. Has Seulong played a single like game for them this split? Is this the first time he's going to be in the roster? Is he just pinch hitting the Poppy support?
Yeah,
Artemis is going to die anyway.
That
was mildly unbelievable. He stepped back in to put feathers down and just died as a result of it. Okay, Shogun's actually in a bit of a rough situation now. There's reinforcement coming in. Another ADC is Dub's going to show up. And now Guri doesn't have the ultimate to get out, doesn't have the flash, so they probably just shouldn't chase him, but it is a 1-for-1.
Well, in the end, Wales still looks pretty sharp here. They haven't given up, even after 2 games back-to-back, where they got the early lead and then lost in the end. A great start, good top side, good bot side. Just looks pretty promising so far. Hasmut, please, just hit him. He can't do anything to you.
He can throw Phoenix at him, but yeah, just watch this, because again, it felt a little weird for Artemis to do this, but this initial play was not bad. Seulong actually played it pretty well, and again, Guri missed most of the initial combo because they were trying to chain CC. It was a great flash, and then if he dodges out the E damage, this is about as perfect as you can get from Artemis. Seulong is going to take too much damage, but then right here, he steps up, he tries to put a feather down. You're going to see, there's the Q, he gets an auto, he gets the E, but like, why? Like, what was the intention behind some of that? But it does bait the rest of the play, because Sounda actually has a really good call here. I love it, because, again, your Zeri is going to be able to roam down from mid lane to make a play happen. Now we're in live. Nanoe is getting attacked by the Poppy. Hailblades is going to do a little bit. Hosmed is, trying to make...
Wait, can Hosmed get the kill?
Oh, he doesn't quite get the kill. Yeah, he's one auto short, something like that. Did he throw his E backwards?
No, he tried to flash after him, and then the weird flash stuttered all the movement, I think. So it did look weird, but I think he played it normally.
About as well as
Like,
could have,
yeah, there was nothing weird about his play. It just looked weird because of the interaction, I believe. How in the world did Xiu Long actually end up in the middle of everyone there? I would like to see a replay of that.
I think he dove
But-
in. I think
Yeah, just to give you the answer. So as long as Xiu Long is not the new name of Ronopi, he hasn't played a single game. Because I can see 2 junglers on the bench, and a jungler, 2 mid laners, and a support player.
Probably one of the most wild choices I've ever heard of. Then.
Yep,
Oh
you
yeah.
can see it there.
I see. I thought the same thing that he thought. All right. Yeah, that makes some sense. Okay. Nanaue also has to pray for that turtle stance. Whoever put the turtle stance in the game, Nanaue needs to send them a gift basket with some extra fruit or peach or whatever they like, because he deserves it right there. Because that was like 400 damage denied from the Poppy Hail of Blades from just the turtle stance on its own. I didn't catch it at the end. Did you see?
I have to say, though, now his E was on cooldown. I have to say, if someone on this team, or all the people on this team, thought that Poppy W would stop Shyvana ultimate, then that is just really, really horrible research.
Imagine how crazy. Imagine how crazy it would be if they were like, "Oh, we are expecting them to play things like Rel and Shyvana, and so we're gonna bring in our pinch-hitting Poppy support, and you can't deny that or the flap, and it works out anyway." Would be the most criminal way a VCS team has ever won a game in a
Would be
series.
a very VCS way to do things, to be honest.
So bad. Funny though. Again, it is a bold decision to go with a complete green rookie, like somebody who's never played a game before, over Huber, who obviously has a kind of internal experience with Artemis, who just came off of what I consider to be one of the best games I think I've ever seen him play. And to pull out a Poppy support rookie is just a wild choice, but obviously it's working at least a little bit so far. Bot lane's been perfectly fine. They've had 2 kills now on the Xayah.
Every time I see the Shyvana, I really want to get back into Summoner's Rift and play some Shyvana, because she's so much fun. But yeah, just very annoying to Artemis, just annoying him. A wave and plates over to Shogun. Guri, 7 PS. He does actually get it with a burn.
Yeah.
Bit unfortunate there. I think Xiu Long could have lasted that with his auto attack. It's an enhanced auto attack. But yeah, a little bit quiet now, the game. Both sides just shaking hands on farming it out, getting advantages here and there, and just trying to, weather the early game. 4-3 in kills, so by no means was it an eventless early game, but yeah, it has slowed down significantly now.
Do we have a grub counter on the board? Is that what the thing on the very left is, or the very right?
Yes,
okay, so
the very left and
they
right.
will have 4 then. So that's good to know, because I think you need 5 to start spawning grublings. But
No, 4 now. So they actually have the 4. They changed it to 4 to make it a little bit more easily accessible. So it's 4-2, definitely an advantage for Wales, but they have to actually hit the towers to make it work. So
they also normalized dragons. They're up 600 gold. They're gonna get Dove on top. Hosmet does have ultimate. Let's see what kind of outplays the veteran can make happen. Ooh, that's
the
fun. What
that's
a
a
play!
really good E.
Wow! Nanaue is going to go down underneath the tower, is going to get traded, and Xiu Long is here as well. I don't know if they can redive, and now Dove is here as well. Oh, that's great. Oh, what? The ultimate? Guri is stuck behind enemy lines, though, so Dove should be able to clean that one up perfectly. Wow! Wow! Team Wales looks completely different.
Yeah, they look revitalized now. Maybe that was just a morale thing, the new support. Just throw them in there in front of however many people in the stadium, and just
let them go crazy.
Feed of wipes? I don't know.
Let's go. Can you find an angle? I don't think you can actually find an angle on Akati, which is unfortunate. But I mean, like, looking at everything, you can say what you want about whether it's Xiu Long and the Poppy that's actually getting anything done. Truthfully, I think the team's just better prepared for what's happening across the map. This dive is going to be hard because you have 3 melee champions into somebody who goes invisible very quickly. I love the stun on Nanaue so that there's no really big chain CC. I'm surprised Hosmed wasn't able to find a way out of this, but the CC ended up just kind of from the rel ended up costing him, I think, a lot more than he would have expected. And then I was a little critical at first, but again, B was the only way that Guri was getting out of this situation with Dove on the way, and so honestly, Xiu Long making another really good decision.
Yeah, Xiu Long decided to go for the confirmed, like 100% for confirmed kill instead of trying to greed for 2. Maybe he could have greeted for 2, but yeah, it's a kill over to Zeri, and she's 2-0 now, finishing a first item already, so it's looking much better. First significant gold lead, and they have the grub lead, and they have equal dragons, so this is actually by far the best position they've been in all series.
Yeah, and the other big thing is, even with the gold being, 1,500 gold head, the big thing is they've shut out Shogun for a little while. He went for Spear Shojin first, so he doesn't have the tier, doesn't have the Triforce for like some initial power spikes, and as a result, it's going to take longer for, I think, this particular version of the Smolder to really get in and start demolishing this game the way that Kadi has, or at least it showed us in the last game. So I think there's actually a better chance of them getting a fight that ends up looking good. Siwang, how the hell did he get behind Kadi right there? There are more reinforcements on the way, but again, Guri with no AP doesn't do that much damage. Now there's reinforcement from Artemis. Can he actually find something? Can't quite find B. Angle isn't there. Lots of health traded between the two, but ultimately, he's just going to end up silent.
Yeah, the big one not hitting there is huge. Dove. Have to be careful.
Yeah, they're not going to fight back and forth a little bit. I think they're just going to be done right there.
One thing these triple ADC compositions do is make itemization really, really easy, right? Look at Nana with he went for the highest armor items in the game, and he's probably sitting at like 200 armor at 14 minutes. So there's absolutely nothing any of the ADCs, apart from maybe Silver Bolts, can do to him. So he's actually comfortable farming in this game. He's on 100 CS, even to Husband.
Oh my god! I love this guy. Xiao Long is one of my favorite new supports, dude. What is he is a baby. Oh,
okay.
Xiao Long just petty ulted Guri away from the Krug so he couldn't take it, and then just flash ease Shogun into the wall. Or sorry, Kadi into the wall so that he could actually grab. That was insane. He's playing a bit like a maniac, but you gotta appreciate it because he's not making dumb plays. He's making consistently good plays.
I think you have to if you play Poppy support with aggressive rune choices. You have to be a maniac.
Like what?
Slash E perfectly.
He's not ready for it at all. He got both kills too. That's so big.
Yeah, Hasmid with a huge power spike. Yeah. He should be able to finish his first item. And once he has Blade, I think, Blade is finished now, so Nanoway is not safe, even with all his armor.
Oh, I love that build. It's so good.
Very slippery, very strong side lane builds. If he wants to go into split pushing, this is perfect for Vayne. Just winning all the 1v1s she can.
So Guri's actually is going into the AP. Or at least going into Liandry's.
This is the typical build. You go Liandry's, Shojin.
Why rush Shojin then?
Yeah, I've seen different rushes. I've seen Liandry rush as well, so it's a hybrid build.
I see.
B is gonna be in trouble. Yep.
Yeah. He's gonna be
This is a stomp, honestly, Rebel. They are getting completely outplayed.
Yeah, it's like somehow like this aggression from Xiu Long is actually giving them quite a bit more than I think they were getting. Again, Huber was playing incredible defensive League of Legends in the last one with the Braum. Okay. That might have been a little too much. He got far enough out. I didn't think he was going to get dropped that far away from the tower, but okay. That's fine. Alright. Anything else? No? Is that it? Okay, they're going to walk towards Dragon. Mid lane's even. Hosmed's grabbing bottom tower, so I don't think you want to do this. I don't know, I wouldn't fight this.
They are on a timer now, because Shyvana, obviously, without ultimate, is not quite as good of a champion. Yeah. By no means. So she's going to lose her ultimate form soon. Oh, another Poppy ultimate.
Bye. It's like... Is Poppy just the answer? Did they figure it out? Did they? It's like they stumbled somehow to get to the answer that was correct in the like after all things. Are they gonna take the fight? We'll see. Sounda is definitely gonna be dead. That's a lot of members. Xiu Long with a perfect thing though might actually set up a Dove as the Sunder to the walls could be able to get quite a bit there. Now they're gonna continue forward. My friend is a little bit frozen, so I'm sorry if I'm missing things. Artemis gonna try to put some additional feathers out, try to get some damage down. Wasn't able to clean up anything. Hosmed goes down as well, so it ends up being what is it? 1 for 3. Looked a lot more dangerous, but unfortunately my screen froze in the middle, so I don't know exactly what happened, but it looked like it was going to get scrapped back. I thought maybe Xiu Long's stun was actually going to somehow buy them quite a bit more, but unfortunately just couldn't get the damage down.
And importantly, Kati collected yet another crucial 2 kills, and one of those was a huge shutdown on Hasmid, so out of nowhere Kati is strong again, as we're still experiencing some issues here with our feet.
That wasn't just me. I thought it was just me.
No, it was not just you.
I'm very happy about that.
This internet might be a little bit... It's not you? Okay, sorry. Yeah, so it should be better soon. This fight, unfortunately, was now cursed twice, so we don't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
But now it comes. They engage, and Sounder just... I think there was
Yeah.
miscommunication again in the team, because Sounder is clearly called for himself to be sacrificed so everyone else
yeah.
could get away. But the
Absolutely.
rest of the team actually didn't follow through on that call, so they all died as well for no reason.
Okay.
yeah.
I thought maybe I don't know. It was really hard. There's 3 marksmen that are able to collapse into this fight. It felt like if they all pushed forward, they might have gotten more kills, but the risk is that obviously you lose a couple of marksmen, you end up getting shutdowns over, and it ends up being quite bad. God, this guy he's goated. Legitimately goated. Where has he been? If nothing else, he's the most entertaining support we've had in a very long time.
Very effective in this game, at least.
Yeah.
So let's see what they can do with this. They're still quite far ahead. They did collect the dragon, remember? So they are now on the dragon snowball path, and that 4-2 Vayne, yeah, she got shut down, but she also got another kill, so she's still very far ahead of the curve. She's almost on 2 items, so I think Team Wales is still in a very, very decent position to win this game. They just have to be wary of Akati getting stronger than they want him to be. 2 items completed already, so he's probably the main threat right now on the Viking side.
There comes a time also where Guri's going to get terrifying. He's on 2 items, I think 3 items, especially if you go like Horizon focus. There could be an absolutely devastating E that just gets dropped onto all your marksmen, and then like the fight is effectively lost from that point. You have to be terrified. This right here might do enough. Okay, yeah. Wasn't that much because it was the Poppy, but again, if you drop that on a marksman, I'm terrified it's going to do like half their health bar or something like that. So the Shyvana is also something else to be terrified. This guy, he's something else, man. I swear. Here comes Artemis on the flank.
Man, I'm
Crazy.
scared of Carty. Carty's damage looks crazy high right now. All the pops.
Wow.
This is what we expected when we
Finally.
saw this final this counter pick. This is exactly how this matchup is supposed to go. There's not much an Udyr can do to not die to a Vayne. So this side lane matchup can't keep on happening. They have to send Corki there. Because, Corki can at least clear the waves and probably just get away with Valkyrie. But yeah, Nanoway is just gonna die. This was in full vision too. Husband just literally just stood right next to him.
He was backing, and Nanoway was poking his nose where it shouldn't have been. And unfortunately, that's just gonna cost him his life. He was trying to get away with another turtle stance save, but he didn't have the double turtle stance, so... Nice try, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he can go from here, because Hasmut is not going to get easier to defend against.
No, he's going to get worse. Much
He has Trinity now, so he has sticking power too. This is just a horrible game to play, and you put yourself in this position, Nanoway. I mean, I would be compassionate, because I think that's one of the worst things that can happen to you, playing a melee without any sort of dash into Vayne, but he chose this matchup.
Yeah, he chose this line. He saw a Xayah, a Zeri, and a Vayne, and went, yeah, I could play Udyr into this.
Okay, 1v2 time, maybe?
Great stun. Oh, actually decent invisibility, but unfortunately... Oh, is he out? Does he live? He's not going to be far enough. He gets out. Crazy. Ozma's wild, man. That was a bit of a rough one. He took a lot of the health bar of Guri as well. It was just... double CC on top of the damage that's dealt by the Shyvana was just too much. But again, was able to escape. The Flash, I wouldn't say it's the most valuable tool in the Vayne's kit, so it's not too big of a trade away as long as they can actually get somewhere on the map and do something with it. They're going to try to push out top and mid, I suppose.
Yeah, that's some psychological damage there. They invested so much to bait Hasmut into dying, and then he doesn't even die. They didn't get anything else out of this because the tower is still standing too, so... Ooh,
this is set up around Dragon too. So like again, if the Dragon stacking is something you have to consider, Hex Drake is going to make it impossible for the Udyr to play. You basically give an AoE slow to everyone. You're never walking at this team ever.
So let's look at Guri. He's almost I think he has all the rage build up to transform into stronger form. Yep, there it is. So they could fight here. Let's see if they go for it too.
They're just gonna let Hasmut take it naturally. I think Hasmut takes it so fast because he's Vayne, so he's not. They're not worried about losing the dragon. They can turn around for the smite, and then it's gonna be 3. So this is the first and only game we've seen from Wales where they have like a definitive clear advantage. They seem to be in the driver's seat basically the entire time. So that's very unique because again, it's been 5 games now that they haven't had anything even close to that, and here we are sitting in their death match against the side of Vikings, and they're sitting here with a chance.
And what an amazing game also to reset your mental. If they were able to finish this game and go 1 and 3, 1 and 2. This is like the perfect way to come back because it's such a different approach. So you can just tell yourself, as we have another pick, can he get away? He's very slow.
Be a little careful because of Kadi's damage, like you said. Long's not that terrified of Kadi, but terrified enough. Oh, here comes ultimate from the side. That's wow. Oh, yeah, Long is going to go down. Now damage afterwards. Artemis can be more forward, try to put feathers down, make sure nobody can follow up.
Oh, Shogun goes crazy.
That's a bit of a crazy teleport from Shogun, as feathers are going to cut off at least one direction. Now they're going to go over the top. I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Double dragon attack.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And he gets the trade. That's insane. That was as bold as a teleport as I think I've ever seen somebody take.
That's a double dragon from both sides. How can you defend against the dragon on each of your flanks? It's just impossible. So this is a huge turn now. Vikings still behind in gold, but they are on top of the Baron. They're a little bit low, but here comes the tank. So they should be fine.
Yeah, they should be okay. B's almost dead, so they do have to be a little careful. And there's reinforcement coming in as Dove
walk away,
trying to get here fast enough.
Thank you.
Can you get anything? Can Dove get here fast enough to actually disrupt this? Guri might be stuck in the pit a little bit.
He has ultimate. He can get out of there if he has to.
Yeah, no, the Dove's not going to get here fast enough to be able to actually accomplish anything. It's unfortunate as well because Hasmed, he had bot lane tower priority. There was a TP from the Udyr. If he had known, he probably could have just kept pushing bot lane and ended up with maybe inhibitor tower. And this was all off the back of a pick. I mean, this is Long and Dove thinking that they
went a little too deep. So the initial pick is great. You get the flash. Just back off, but they chase once again. They chase into this doomed place in the map. They've overchased twice now in this series at exactly the same spot, and it has cost them dearly. But this is the craziest ADC play I've ever seen. The double dragon attack from both sides is so cool. Look at this. 2 dragons, one big dragon, one small dragon. They're just kiting around the enemy team. Shogun actually gets 2 kills, and one goes over to Guri. So both of the dragons are also quite strong now. That's another tower. The game is back to even, and we are in for a little bit of a spicy one here.
Yeah, I would say so. You still have quite a few scaling marksmen in this game, but unfortunately Kadi has caught up and is just an absolute beast in this one. Shogun is getting there as well. It's very nearly on his 3rd item, so he's going to be matching what everybody else is doing. And from here, Guri looks to be going tank. So again, damage may not be ramping, but will be a lot harder to deal with on the front line. I feel like at some point now, the big thing that you have to pay attention to is like Hasmed in a side lane, and then Hasmed in team fights is going to be, to me, a big kind of decider of things. Because you've got this massive vein sitting on one side of the map that can tear through the Udyr, tear through the Shyvana. Oh.
Yeah, and I think this this Guri build actually makes a lot of sense in this game in particular, because everyone else in the game, or all the opponents I should say, are very squishy. So they're not actually going to invest into any sort of defensive stats. So even though his damage is not going to go up from here, it's going to stay the same. And he's dealing about like 400 or 500 each E. So that's still very significant damage, and if he can fire more E's, that's still effectively damage. Oh god, the damage! Kati, oh my god,
okay.
No.
I think there was a point there at that roll that maybe Hasmed actually could have killed Kati. I think he got a little bit nervous that it wasn't going to be enough, but I actually think he would have had the damage, because he had empowered Q and he had 3rd shot on Silver Bolts. And it might have been just enough to actually at least drive Kati off or force a flash or get him to back off or something like that. But instead, he kind of wavered there. You can see it at the end of this one.
Yeah, and Kati is level 16, so this ultimate, that's the huge
right here.
For damage.
There, it was right there. I think he could have stepped in and tried to auto at least once.
I don't think it's enough to kill him, but maybe he gets another auto take off if he Q dodges one of the other spells.
Yeah, I don't know. The problem was that big rocket landed, and that was what really did him in. I think it was like half a health bar alone, so he's gonna be mad.
Level 16, the big one is just a little too much to deal with.
He needs... I guess it's not magic resist anymore. Maybe he should just buy armor. At this point, Osmo doesn't really need more damage. It's not like he's suddenly gonna...
It looks like he's going to try to go for a little bit of an off-tank build here with Wit's End, potentially. Or even the likes of...
Scepter in there.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where that is going.
Is it Death's Dance? I don't really know. It's hard to say. They can give this dragon, though. They're not that pressed about this. They're only down 1,000 gold. The fear is that, obviously, like, Corki and Smolder are quite strong at this point in the game. But again, the game is not over for...
Yeah, unfortunately, Guri, of course, gets stronger with each dragon collected as well, right?
Yeah.
Shivana passive. And he's deceptively tanky now. Went for the randoms, which seems very smart, into 2 crit ADCs and another ADC that, okay, doesn't build crit, but still has a lot of auto-attacking power. So he's quite the strong force now, and together with Udyr, while they're not going to be able to like outpace the enemy DPS, they are going to be able to buy some time for the Corki poke, for Shogun to catch up. So this game is now very hard to play for Team Wales' ADCs.
Yeah. I mean, we're maybe even ticking to the point where like they're triple marksmen. They're gonna need a lot more just to be able to play into this one. Standard team fight should be set up. One problem that they're also going to have now, Poppy was so amazing. Like, Siulong was amazing for the first 15 minutes of this game. At this point, basically diving in the way that he had been is probably a death sentence in most circumstances. So, like, Siulong suddenly is much more of like, I'm going to ult somebody, and hopefully that's going to be sufficient to kick them out of the fight. But the Hex Tech Teleporters is going to make that a little bit more difficult because you can get back into fights a lot more easily. Like, I don't know. It's a lot harder to use the Poppy now at this point in the game. So they're just
especially when there's not actually that many spells she can effectively stop with the W, right? There's Valkyrie, which okay, she gets on top of that.
Beast Kid for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, and then Rel. But Rel can also just wait out your W and then engage after that and just play defensive for a while. So this Poppy is now in a really tough spot. She does, however, still have her ultimate, and we have to say Siulong so far really accurate on the ultimate. So there's still always the potential to knock out 2 important targets in a team fight and suddenly you turn it around. So that's still a huge part of Poppy's kit.
Yeah, biggest thing is if you can make a tag onto Kadi or onto Shogun, if you can get one of the 2 main damage healers out, I think the fight's basically lost for Vikings from that point, because there's just too much damage bearing down on Guri and Nanaue and B, that like if you don't have both of your longer range carries doing damage to the 3 marksmen, there's like not much you can do. So both teams are kind of walking on eggshells around each other, at least for the minute. You got 2.5 minutes till Dragon, you got Baron up, and both are going to be a difficult kind of situation to find themselves in. I like the buy from Vayne. I love this item. It's one of my favorite. Terminus is so good. It's like, it was one of my favorite additions at the beginning of the new season, but Sounda took a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's the tank there, but yeah, you're playing against 2 ADCs and another dragon, so yes, you might have 3 ADCs, but 2 ADCs is still very, very strong, especially when you're underfarmed on Maokai with only 2 items, and one of them is more supportive, so yeah, this is not a tank that can really just scout bushes for free. He is going to go down quite quickly.
Let's cut it where it is also. Warmogs was being built by support's first item most of the beginning of the season. This is a double support item. Let's be real about this. So there is that problem as well. The big benefit is that obviously you have 3 different marksmen that are sitting on 3.5 items, which is insanely powerful. They just haven't been able to access that power nearly as much as you would want them to at this point in the game. So, I mean, how do they do it? How do you actually get 3 marksmen into these fights in some comprehensible way that doesn't just get one of them killed instantly?
I'm not sure if that's even the plan. They're Vayne. She should be sitting in bot lane and pushing down the tower. But here we have an engage from the other side.
Yeah, Siulong gets jumped on, but it's not going to mean too
much. A little bit haphazard. Like, they weren't really believing in this engage either.
Wow, that is a fast Baron. It's already down half health, and they're not even close to the pick quite yet. That's a bit difficult to kind of follow up on. They're just baiting. They look towards elsewhere. Sounda's going to try to get something. Duff has not popped ultimate yet, so you have to pay attention for that as well. Sounda's going to be able to get out the backside of the fight, but now it's the rockets that you have to be terrified about. Artemis is going to be able to deliver some feathers into the bit of the back line. That's going to be big. That's 1 member down, but everybody fell from the side of Wales. They got split into a circle, and somehow everybody fell like a domino. And at the end of it all, Sounda, their one true tank, is the only one that lives through everything because he needed to heal up, and nobody... I don't even know what happened because they split in 4 directions and 3 people died. The only one who lived was Artemis for just a second, and he got 1 kill against B, and that's what the fight was.
Yeah, the big problem is this team composition, while very strong and very offensive, has no way of playing together effectively, right? They're all very individualistic champions, and the enemy team just... they just rolled into one and, played this team as a team should. A lot of AoE damage as well, and AoE damage is the death of squishy champions.
Nicely done. Poppy also, you get a kill onto the Udyr, so not going to be able to do anything there. They don't have a wave quite yet because he got knocked away. 1 minion left to try to clean up, and they're not going to be able to.
Probably not enough to finish.
Yeah, not enough to finish. They're not going to go after bot tower. They're not going to do anything crazy. They're just going to take their win. They're going to deliver some more licks by grabbing the dragon on the way out. They're going to leave some wards down as B is redeploying into that top side river. And Vikings have now completely claimed control. I don't even know what else to say. At this point, the gold lead, it seems like their team fighting is much more immaculate. We thought that Wales had the artillery to be able to get it done, but it seems like they just cannot put it together fast enough.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're... B.
Okay, B is going to die. Now Dove and Artemis need to accomplish something. I think Dove still has his ultimate. I want to see him pop it so he can actually get some damage down, but he hasn't been able to.
Shogun is insanely strong, though. In the last team, we saw glimpses of that as well. He was just firing off missile after missile and just cutting through everyone there. And he just stood up to 2 AD carries on 3 items, 4 items even, and they knew they would lose if they stepped closer to him. So yeah, Shogun is maybe even 2 ADCs, or counts for 2 ADCs on the other side. So we have Kati and Shogun both on insanely high amounts of items. So
do it now.
It's probably 4 ADCs against 3 here.
3 marksmen, 2 tanks. Front the Baron, force this fight before B has a chance to go in. Too long, decent afterwards. That's really concerning here, as they're going to try to get something
it's a huge collapse
out of the fight, and Nanaue is going to be able to help clear one as Shogun's just able to deliver shot after shot after shot. Artemis is going to walk right into B, so that's going to be another one. Dove is trying to do some damage on the other side of the fight. He still has ultimate! I'm gonna kill him. I don't know what else to say. Artemis
Shogun is trying to chase him down. There's one more auto attack. Oh, B has to be sacrificed because Shogun wasn't quite fast enough.
Everybody's dead. There's nothing to be said.
But this game just turned into yet another slaughter, and this is actually now gone in 35 minutes, less than the last game, even though it looked so much in Team Wales' advantage. But in the end, what can you really say then? The other team is just better. They beat you in every conceivable way possible. They beat you on your champions, they beat you on their champions. Now they beat you from behind, they beat you from ahead. Like,
they beat you with bad champions.
There's really nothing more. This is one of the most comprehensive beatings we have seen. 6 games, 6 wins, 6-0 for Vikings, and they will make Worlds. Vikings, the second team from Vietnam to make Worlds, and they're going to fight for the trophy tomorrow against GAM. The rematch we all expected to see.
Yeah. And since Vikings have entered, their team has gotten progressively better in the VCS. I think that their foundation has built up, their coaching staff has built up. It would be really hard to leave them out of APAC. Is that what it is? Something going on?
APAC, I think, yeah.
APAC, yeah. It would be really hard to leave them out, and I think this is the part of it that, like, this will cement it, if it hasn't already been cemented so far, because this team is here to stay. They've got an amazing roster. They've got a lot of very good things, and now they're going to get a chance to go to Worlds. They're going to get a chance to challenge GAM for the #1 seed. They're looking great right now. They're looking on form right now.
Yeah, let's bring back our resident PhD. Let's see what it stands for this time around. As Clockwork, join us on the desk. What did you think of this immaculate running it down performance from T-Wire?
Running it.
Okay, I appreciate that they brought a real PhD on the roster, because Sulong was a psychopath and highly deranged. That was a stunning early game, and it was exactly, surprisingly, after the performance of Hugh, which has a standout game before, it wasn't what Wales needed. What they needed was someone like Sulong that just went in and gave them some direction. Everyone followed after him, and all the plays that Sulong initiated worked in a way for Wales. Then at some point, of course, Wales didn't have enough fuel in the tank, but I want to highlight that there was one fight around minute 20, I think, the one where Shogun flanked. Because Shogun, for the first 2 games, has played pretty passive roles, on the Ezreal, on the Ziggs, just shooting from afar, and that was sort of his role more or less in the game with the Smolder here. But when he noticed that his team was in a pinch, he clutched it with a really solid play. It was risky, but it high risk, high reward, because eventually it turned the game around right there, and it won everything. So it's impressive that Vikings, even when nothing is going on in their favor, they have players with the clutch factor that can turn it around. That was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we already touched on how superior they were compared to Wales, but we also have to consider they are going to play against a much better team tomorrow, and while today was super important for them, maybe even more important than tomorrow's game, it was still kind of a foregone conclusion. Everyone had them winning today. If not 3-0, then at least winning the series. And I think most people believe they were going to sweep once again, as they did, very comprehensively. But they can't really afford to make the same kind of mistakes as they did today against GAM. They already lost the series last week. And honestly, after watching today's games, I wouldn't be too encouraged on their behalf. Rebel, what do you think? Can you find a different angle for tomorrow? What can they do to win against GAM? And finally give Shogun and Guri the title against GAM?
If I had to take a wild guess, and again, I paid the greatest of attention. I didn't end up watching like the GAM versus Viking series to be able to see. The thing that they were building on in this was having champions that you can't interact with in team fights. They would build this little kind of, it was like they're playing in a tank where you just got 3-4 members that are kind of barreled up around a Smolder or a Corki or something like that, and then they just fought, right? And at no point was it that, like, remember, game 1 it was Ezreal, it's like, no one touched Ezreal. Game 2, it was Ziggs. It was like, okay, no one touched Ziggs. Game 3, it was Smolder. It was like, okay, you didn't touch Smolder. So, I don't know whether that's their intention against the side of GAM, but it seemed to be working fundamentally pretty well. Their team fighting was built around, hey, we have this one person that you're not allowed to touch. It's just hands-off ADC, right? Don't touch Shogun. Anybody else, it doesn't matter. You have other damage carries, you have other people, it doesn't matter. Your whole thing is, we're defending against this guy. So when it comes to fighting against GAM, I think they will have better ways and more creative strategies around that. They also have, like, Kiaya, who's much more of a carry in his lonesome. Not to say Hosmid was playing bad. Hosmid's a very good carry in his own right. It's just I think Kiai is able to step up to that level a lot more to be somebody that can actually put pressure on the opposing ADC and play champions and or have strategies to team fight around that. GAM usually is going to have ways to handle that. But most importantly, again, macro was a huge reason why, especially in game 1, that there was like big issues, and GAM never falls victim to that sort of thing. So it's going to be a lot harder I think for Vikings to take that to advantage. So maybe they're working on their team fighting just so that they can have that type of really sharp advantage against the team.
Okay, that's an interesting take. Clockwork, I think most of the things Rebel just said I agree with. The only thing I would maybe slightly disagree on is the very last point, because I think that macro kind of style is actually the only way they can win against GAM, because what they did in game 1 was super impressive. Now, after the last 2 games, maybe you can't remember how impressive the first game was, but it really didn't look like a VCS game. They played almost a perfect 5 to 25 minutes and didn't let Wales have anything. And I think we actually saw some of those aspects, some glimpses of that in the first GAM series, and they did win 2 games, so I think maybe that's the only approach they can take. Of course, GAM is going to react much faster, they're going to react much better, and I agree, of course, Rebel, they're not going to be able to get all the same advantages, but I still think maybe that's a way to play. Hanke has tried to establish this kind of style in the VCS for some years now, so it would be great to see him beat his own old team with this macro approach. Clockwork, what do you think? Where does Vikings look for tomorrow's game?
I also am of that opinion. They need to take advantage of the fact that there's people like Kati, people like Hanke that have been on GAM, and GAM has kept their sort of play style through the years, so they know by now how to diffuse it. And it can't be by hands checking, because there's Kiaya, there's Levi, and high profile players like that. And even Emo, he's a rookie, but he's played to an incredible level, so they cannot just, hands check them like they did today with Wales. So I truly believe that tomorrow they are gonna step up their game as well. They were impressive. I remember I watched that series. Was it last week? I think. And they did in a couple of games. Even in one of the games that they eventually they lost, they were quite far ahead in the game compared to GAM. And game 5 was very close. It could have gone either way. So I think tomorrow is going to be another great matchup. And the story of the split has been the whole time it was Vikings and GAM. Secret at some point came close, but there was no other competitor in this championship. And tomorrow we're going to see that. remember that GAM has won something like 6 or 7 splits in a row. So there's a lot of pressure on Vikings. That is going to be dangerous for them.
Yeah, the last split they've lost, I believe, was the winter split, right? Did they lose after that? I think they won every single split
Yeah.
following the winter split. So that's
Same.
2022,
Mickey Mouse split
2023.
doesn't count.
Yeah, that's 5 splits in a row. So spring, summer, spring, summer, spring. So this would be the 6th split in a row for the side of GAM. That's unheard of dominance in this league. So hopefully there's a little bit more of a fight tomorrow for Vikings. Personally, I really want to see Shogun go out of the VCS with the title. So I'm a little bit biased there. But of course, on the other side, we have Kiaya. So one of my all-time favorite players, maybe my all-time favorite player there. And he was absolutely amazing in the semi-final, or upper bracket final, whatever you want to call it. He destroyed Nanoware so insanely hard that 2 of the games were just straight up won in the 1v1 in top lane. Smolder top lane just outscaled everything, while his team did God knows what. So he just played 1v5 essentially. So if we see the same kind of performance tomorrow with Kiaya, I think there's no way past the top lane MVP. But speaking of MVPs, before we close out the day, I think I want to know who your MVPs were for today, or one MVP more specifically. I know maybe the favorite player to watch was Wales' support here in the last game. But apart from that, Rebel, let's start with you. MVP performance today. Who was the most valuable player on Vikings?
I mean, it felt to me the entire day like their game plan was built around Shogun. Like everything they did compositionally, everything they did rotated around Shogun being just an absolute MVP at bot lane. And so I don't think anyone played particularly poorly. Nanaue had a couple rough moments. Guri played really well. Kadi played amazing. B played pretty good League of Legends. But honestly, like the reason I'm giving it to Shogun is because if you have a different marksman in this roster, somebody a little bit lesser than Shogun, I don't think they can play the same strategy. I think they have to play a different game. It's because of his dominance and his level of play that they're able to do what they did today. And as a result, I can't give it to anybody else.
Do you agree,
disagree because Shogun has played flawlessly. Okay, the first 2 games were not really interactive, but he fulfilled his role without barely any mistake. And the third one, as I mentioned, he clutched it and turned it back. So he played really well. However, I'm going to give my vote to Guri because through the whole series, he was the one orchestrating all the map movements, all the reactions, and all the actions over the map. He was always where he needed. He was always setting up whatever carry needed his attention. And I think this is like, there's every year in the VCS there comes a jungler star that was like Killer Queen. There was Xiyang in recent years, and I think Guri is on the podium to claim that role for this year. Impressive performance.
Yeah, I definitely like that opinion as well, because Guri, honestly, throughout all the games I've seen, he has been such a staple for his team, and he had big shoes to fill after BJ stepped down from Saga Buffalo. They acquired Guri, and ever since he came into the team, he looked amazing, especially on these carry AP junglers. And he has gotten better and better on the other style of jungler, like the Sejuani today as well. So he is really ready now to challenge the big jungle master Levi himself tomorrow. Hopefully he can find another champion, because last time his Zyra was denied over and over and over again. So let's see if he can do what BJ was never able to do and overcome his arch nemesis Levi. But yeah, with that, I think we've reached the end. I want to give each of you one more little shout out, one little goodbye for the day, and also maybe the players. Let's go to you first, Rebel. I'm so glad you made it back today, and I'm still sorry for the time because it is so insanely early for you, but you are the MVP for always making it on here at 3 a.m. So thank you very much.
It's back to 6 now, so it's not actually that bad of a time period to show up for. But the ECS has always been exciting. Tomorrow's finals is the last one we're ever going to have, at least for the foreseeable ever, in theory, because the league's getting collapsed into another one. And it's been incredible to be able to cover games like this for the last, I don't know how many years I've been here. Too long. I'm too tired to actually figure that out. I finally get to rest. But tomorrow's going to be really exciting. I think Vikings and GAM, that's about as good of a series as you could ever want to go out on. So I hope a lot of people come out tomorrow to be able to watch that one.
And Clockwork, I see you already prepared a little accessory there. So, with no further ado, take it away.
Indeed, like I wasn't part of the original initiative. I was like a stray cat that was picked up along the way. I think we started like in 2020 or 2021, and I just kept coming because it was fun and everyone was fun, and I hope that we made it fun for you as well. It's been on and off in the recent years and splits, but I hope that we managed to bring the good in the league and some great fun to you. And I hope that as VCS continues in the APAC league, you will also remember the fun times that we've had together. So yeah, just don't forget us. We'll be around.
Well, with that, we'll have one more day tomorrow. Don't miss the big finals. Thank you so much, Rebel and Clockwork, being with me today. And of course, the biggest thanks of all to Spoots, our amazing producer. So see you tomorrow. Sleep well, and we will have the grand finals deciding the place in the APAC next year in just about 21 hours. So don't miss it.